Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Origin Series. It is our fourth and final day of the August edition of the Origin Series. And today we have got two banging best of five grand finals for you. And who better to start it off than myself and Riku. Riku, good week so far. Games today looking spicy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be spicy because last time we had our Origin finals, it was such an exciting full-on BO5s. Curious to see if the trend will seep through, the August edition.
Absolutely. Well, to kick things off, we've got a lovely little bit of content for you to look at. Those September finals that everyone has been talking about, that air of mystery surrounding them, that curtain is about to lift. Let's take a look at what some of the players are looking forward to as we get towards the championship.
The LANs in September is basically our main goal. It's a very important. I think it's going to be very cool. I hope so. And I definitely want to go there.
Coming up to the September Grand Finals, I think we're all really excited. I personally have stage experience from the past with esports, but there's no feeling like playing on stage and kind of like having that super intense, like high quality games that you really get in the zone, and it's just a really great experience. A lot of my teammates don't have that, so I'm super excited to they all have the opportunity to kind of like have these really serious tournaments and offline events, and I think it'll be really cool, and I'm super excited to be there for one of the first Wild Rift ones.
I think for every player and for every team, the main goal is going for Worlds, Wild Rift Worlds, and winning that. And to achieve that goal, like every single step, like it's Origins, then LAN, then going from LAN to Worlds. All this, like, it's one step by step, It's important point for every player.
So to represent Europe or one seed of Europe at that final would be a great and amazing feeling, like to be on stage, also with your teammates, to see your teammates in real life, talk to them, or also your enemies, like to talk to them, etc. would be a really great experience, and you wouldn't forget that easily, obviously. It's just you're creating memory there for yourself and for everyone competing there. And in the end, obviously, if you are winning it, then it's something you will never ever forget. You will always think about for weeks, months, maybe even years. So it's a great honor to go there, and I'm really looking forward and happy.
This is really good for the competition in general, for the teams as well, just to face each other in a offlane, in a LAN. And I think just for the Wild Rift competitive, it's gonna be such a good experience for every player and for every team.
Tons for us to talk about later in the show, Riku. The championship that everyone is looking forward to is not too far away. But before we turn our focus to the future, I think we best focus here on the present, because there are some awesome highlights from yesterday's games ahead of these two best of fives that we have got today. Some brilliant games that kicked off. And again, Riku really setting us up for an exciting day today.
Yeah, exactly. We had our first BO5 finale, focused a little bit more on the Group C with Cut Esports taking that 3-0 against GK. I mean, they were able to get their revenge, able to still take that championship title, especially they have been constantly top 2 since the beginning, since June rather, and it has been a very, very explosive series, especially like pretty sure they've discovered the weakness of GK last night, just constantly banning out the Xin Zhao and the Ashe.
And in Group B as well, we have BKROG coming up against BAL Esports. And for BKROG, I believe that was one of those ones where if they won it and got themselves into the final and won the whole thing, they could have snatched the victory away from Na'Vi and taken that second seed spot in Group B to make it into the championships. But sadly, not quite to be the case. Instead, we wind up in a different storyline today, at least here in Group B, where Supermassive Blaze come up against BAL Esports in that first best of five. But another good series yesterday. I think it's the one thing that really carried across all three games that we had yesterday actually was entertainment from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when we talk about Group B, it's one of these sporadic groups, I suppose. From the June month, there has been, 3 completely different teams following suit from top 2 to top 4. It has been constantly Unicorns of Love, in that championship round, but it's a little bit different. But this, what we're seeing right now is a little bit more towards Group A. We've got Game Lord and Team Queso. It was a pretty explosive match. I feel like the Nami has been constantly prioritized. It's just so paired. It just pairs well with so many AD carries and so many compositions like what we're seeing right now.
We had the real terror as well of Ruiz on the RE. One of the ones that Ask Scoundrel was saying during that series, are they going to let it through? Are they going to ban it away? Because yes, Ari isn't quite pick ban kind of priority right now, but for a couple of players, Ruiz being one of them, I think he showed us exactly why you should fear him playing on that champion in particular. Kaizo netting themselves a spot against No Team, No Talent, which is the second best of 5 that you will see later on today. So as a reminder, 2 best of 5s coming up. Tons to look forward to, Riku.
Yeah, we're going to see a repeat of the June finals for Group A, and I'm so excited to see that later on throughout the day.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at our schedules to begin with. The brackets. Getting confused in my own mind here. Take a look at how things are shaped up in 4K. No, production, they're going to play with me. They're going to do schedule first because they're the real MVPs. Here is what you've got coming up for you today. Yesterday was GK against Cut in a best of 5. Cut winning that one decisively with a 3-0. We start things off with Supermassive Blaze, the team that seemed to have come from nowhere and knocked out some of the big baddies in this competition, coming up against BAL Esports, who fought their way up through the lower bracket. Ending the day off with No Team, No Talent coming up against Team Kaizo. Some really exciting games, and we'll then progress on to taking a look as well at the bracket so you can see that miracle run that we were talking about. We'll start in Group A, but when we get to Group B, it's worth looking at the journey that Supermassive Blaze have had so far. Riku, talk to me about Group A.
Yeah, No Team, No Talent still pretty much at the top of the Tippity charts. They're constantly at the upper bracket, even when we look at their journey back in June. And again, we talked about this team. Keso is going to face them in the finals later on, and it is a repeat of the July, or rather the June finals that we saw 2 months ago.
Absolutely. Take a look then over at Group B, and this is the one that I was excited to see because on that first day came in, we saw Supermassive coming up against Sangel and thought, looking at the history, Sangel should breeze through this game, but no. 4th game down from the top, Supermassive Blaze 2-0'd them, 2-1 Unicorns of Love, 2-1 Footballist, and did the same to BK Rog, landing themselves in the final. UOL going out in round teams, top 3 rows down there in the second round. A surprise and a half, and Na'Vi also not managing to make it past BAL Esports. So the 2 teams that have made it into the championship, UOL and Na'Vi, are not present, which kind of gives you a bit of a worry about what the future may hold if we see Origin Series come round again. Is it going to be a clear-cut UOL Na'Vi victory? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, meanwhile, let's take a look at Group C over here. It has been, constantly the fight between Sunlight versus Cut Esports from June to July, but it has been a different story as Team Occupy has knocked down Sunlight into the lower bracket, and the same thing as well from GK. But at the end of the day, it is Cut that reigned supreme yesterday in the BO5 series, 3-0 against GK.
I think everyone expected in that group for it to be another best of 5 between Cut and Sunlight as well, because they were like 14 points between them. The winner of the series, or whoever got the further through the competition, was basically guaranteed to take the only spot coming out of Group C, but ultimately it was Cut who walk away the winner. However, let's take a look at some content out of Coldstar from UOL, who are unfortunately no longer in the competition. Look at their thoughts on how things are going so far.
In this case, I don't feel that deeply depressed as I was on Monday. The future feels bright now. Everything we've made through the half year and a lot of job been done, a lot of hours and months of playing, it's not in vain, We got to our goal. We are going to the LAN finals. I think that the fact that we won the first and the second Origin series means that we deserve it. We really deserve it, despite our loss in the third one. I think that this loss and this result will, I hope, and I think it will give us strength to come back as a bigger, stronger team in September. I just want to say thanks to all our fans for cheering for us. Even though we didn't get to the finals, I hope everybody cheering for Unicorns. We will come stronger, because what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, and we'll stand up and keep fighting.
I love that statement. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Apparently, quite a few teams are able to kill you guys this month, sadly, Coldstar, but they have done enough. They have got that spot at the championship. So as he said, lots to look forward to in September. Riku, though, we've got 2 big games coming up today, like we've mentioned. Supermassive coming up against BK Rog before No Team, No Talent play against Kaizo. Quick 2-sentence prediction from you on those 2 games.
Okay, full BO5s. Here we go at the first series. I feel like it is going to be Supermassive Blaze's win, though, in a 3-2 fashion. For the next game, I really like Game Lord's performance last month, so I feel like they will take that 3-2 against Team Keso.
All right, short and sweet, just the way I like it. However, there's a bit of content for us to take a look at ahead of this first series in Group B. Let's get some thoughts from the players ahead of this best of 5.
You can see I'm on red, like my face, my hair. It was so exciting game I have had in my life.
For Gareth, he does get stunned, but he does not care. What a beautiful offer.
We are so happy. We had huge changes in our jungle, our support, mid, ADC. Like, we had so good synergy.
Are they gonna end?
On to their base. They really want
They're gonna
to
end
the game.
So that's why I think we are here because of that. It's all about my team.
I don't know what team come from the lower bracket, but we will win.
They would just want to end the Series A staff. Wukong, that was too close for
We
comfort.
won such a big opponent. Then I think we can do it again.
So the two Turkish team gonna play, and who wins doesn't matter. Like, the Turkish team gonna finish in first place. So we are so happy about that also.
I already say everything I want. Now is all left is winning.
Hey, Elo dayı.
Oh, it's so cute. All the love they get from each other as well. And like they said, it is basically two Turkish teams here playing in this best of 5 grand final. But there is one Australian player that we'll be talking about in just a second. In fact, let's get them up right now. Spec, the only player, the jungler for BAL, who is Australian. Everyone else in this game Turkish. So the rise of the Turkish teams this month, it feels like, Riku.
Yeah, right now there's a little bit of mirror between these two teams. I feel like, you got Bambi and Spec on the other side of the spectrum, having a little bit of mirror when it comes to playstyle, serving as the tank for the rest of the squad to set up for their carries in the team.
Well, hopefully those carries can do a lot of work. I hear that our draft is ready. So for game 1, let us get into our pick and ban. Riku, excited to see what bans come out, because Akali being that ever-present ban that's come through, the rise of Pantheon so far over the last 3 or 4 days in the jungle. Could be some spicy picks in this game as well.
Yeah, and look at them. SMB already banning out the Ahri. They don't want that level 3 spike, and as well as the pick potential as well. BAL, on the other hand, just wants to take out any sort of scary mid to late game threat, such as the Ziggs. Darius, again, meaning SMB could potentially get the Renekton. They don't want any awkward level 1s for the big crocodile over there. And yes, as you mentioned, Dezichu, it is going to be, again, Akali getting taken out, because as we saw last time, Nakras had an amazing and crazy game on that pick.
He did, yeah, and that game against BK Rog was pretty terrifying, so not at all surprised to see it taken away and the Akali to follow through after. Camille for the pick potential, and the top lane duelists that we've often seen going toe-to-toe with each other in the Darius and the Garen also being taken away, and there is that Pantheon jungle, we assume, that we spoke about, one that has been incredibly dominant in the early to mid game so far.
Yeah, they do love those, again, that level 5 presence with the semi-global ult with the Grand Starfall. And in the meantime, BAL decides to take up this double AD carry composition. They will need a Braum. They will need a disengage to, again, make sure that these two carries will be safe. As again, Ferris, pretty low mobile. Gragas, big disengage pick alongside with the Nami. So a lot of AoEs on the board already for SMB.
I really want to see BAL potentially walking away with the Gragas, but that got swiped away by Supermassive Blaze. The Janna is okay. My number one fear with that is ultimately there's so many ways to interrupt her ultimate or just get her away from a carry with, say, the Gragas ultimate. So we're going to need to see a lot of shining play on that Janna to really have a massive effect. On the other side, it's going to be that Renekton versus the Fiora in the top side. And finally, we see the carry pick come through for Supermassive Blaze. It's going to be that Kai'Sa.
Yeah, Kai'Sa is going to be that late game insurance, and SMB is just going to try and propel and see if they can assemble this 4-1 setup with the Fiora. Meanwhile, Wukong, the last pick coming from BAL. So a lot of these 5v5s on the board for their composition.
Game 1's ready then. Let's get into it. Onto the Rift to see how things start shaking down. As a reminder, again, this is a best of 5. There is nothing really to claim for winning it except higher get standings up the table, more money, more points that you build into. But unfortunately, neither of these two teams can make it into the top 2 to make it to the championship next month.
With that, looking at the movements in the map right now, again, for SMB, level 3 could potentially be strong, Lonely with a Gragas, and as well as Pantheon with a stun. So Rift Scuttler fights could potentially be seen in this game. But look at this though, SMB, they're sneaking around. They do want a potential steal. They have a pretty strong level 1 here, bubble and a stun.
I mean, they're going to land it all as well. There's enough damage to come through to actually nuke him out there. One more hit will be enough, and there it is, stolen away. This is why we speak about that cover being required. If it didn't go well for Bambi there, if he didn't get that buff, that could have been catastrophic for his early game, but they make it work. And now it's Spec who's on the back foot.
Yeah, that's going to be awkward. That's going to slow down Specs clear for sure. Able to sort of not take control of the early Scuttler presence. And now we get to see Bambi for sure going to move towards his red buff, making sure that Bal will not get the opportunity to potentially exchange buffs. Are they still going at it? Poor Spec.
I mean, I think he's expecting to find him here somewhere. We'll realize that he's already cleared this out, but I think the buff might still be in place in this case. So may find himself with none. Is going to try and invade, but my worry is he's level 2 here. If there's any kind of ward down, of which there currently isn't, he'd be in trouble. Instead, turning his attention in towards the crab. I'd be terrified if this turns into a 4-buff scenario against the Wukong.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward. Spec had to go around Nokris.
Oh, no way does he die here. No way does he go down again. Smites out onto the crab, has the flash away if he wants it, but in this spot needs to get away and can't do it. This is a terrible early game for the Wukong as it's all falling apart. Again, great team play coming out of Supermassive Blaze. That Pantheon running the field right now.
And he's just level 3 and more kills?
God.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, this is Bambi's jungle now. Spec cannot step foot in their own quadrants because Bambi and the fact that Geist is always roaming with a Pantheon makes it so much harder because, again, Tulkas can just manage on his own. He has the Icadian Rain for the wave clear. And literally, if it's level 5, then that means there's pre-level 5 rather, there's no threat of a chain of corruptions coming from Katze.
Bambi evolving from being a fawn into a full-blown stag here with some pretty spiky horns, taking the shape of a spear. Replay coming through as it was the Wukong again who got absolutely penciled down here, even with the smite coming in onto the crab to give some health back and flash on side. Didn't manage to use it in the way that he wanted, burnt it, stays in the river, and it's an easy cleanup for Supermassive Blaze. And as you saw earlier on, the pressure just carried on. It's now starting to affect more than just the jungle. It's starting to bleed into lanes as well. And it's this early advantage where I start to feel really nervous for the Wukong.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Gandalf needs to reach his 2 to 3 item power spike depending on what build he's going to go through. Maybe Essence Reaver, Solari Charge Blade, and then you head on over to the Infinity Edge. It's going to slow down the damage coming from Bal. That means who needs to pick up the pace? Knight. He has to win his lane to make up for the losses. But it's a big problem because, again, Spec has been struggling. Look at this. There's so many deep vision coming from SMB in Bal's jungle. So I'm sure this is going to be the last time Spec's life is going to get hunted.
I'm quite worried for Gandalf in that mid lane. Looking more like Gandalf the Grey than Gandalf the White, but at this point start calling in Gandalf the Grey screen because he's going to get focused down by Bambi more as this continues as well. We spoke about him starting to accelerate the early game. You're looking towards the assists on the Nami, who's done great jobs getting involved across the field as well. The most important thing to look towards now is going to be this Drake coming online in about 10 seconds. The gold lead only sat at about 1,500, but opportunities here where maybe we see Bambi get back to base, pick up the Black Cleaver before this gets online, and then they can start really looking for a scrap.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. And right now, their movement and their decisions, okay, not an Infernal Drake. That's just an Ocean Drake. We're just going to get this, open up the map, maybe open the opportunity of using the Grand Starfall to get a tower dive, either in the mid lane or, as we see Nokris, just trying to buy some time for the rest of SMB. They get the Rift Herald, then head straight to the Dragon.
And here they go as well. Oh, straight across the whole team. Burns are only a couple, mind you, but they've knocked down the ones they want. It's the Wukong as the focus. In goes the package, but he's alone in the back line. Gandalf back out to safety, but the damage appears to be there for the side of Bal. They have found themselves a couple of kills back with nothing coming in response for the side of Supermassive. Double knocker coming in, away they will escape. Supermassive managing to stem the bleeding somewhat, but it's a triple kill coming out for Bal.
Yeah, that's a really nice kill for Gandalf. Double kill for them to equalize their losses in the early game. And they even get an Ocean Drake to boot. Of course, they'll definitely, for SMB, it's a bit awkward. Again, for the Grand Starfall, they would want to get a pick off first before committing 100% into that fight. And we didn't get to see that happen, and they went straight for it. The rest of the carries coming from Bal were pretty much safe in that scenario.
And they're trying really to press the early advantage here as well. Herald, which they did prioritize, coming out into the bottom tower. Let's not forget that did result in 3 kills coming back the other way, trying to see what they can find here, but it's a 3 versus 2. I imagine Bambi and co want to go too deep. Almost killing Spec there with the empowered spear coming through, but not quite enough to finish him off, as on the top side, they've had 2 towers on the go. The top one in the top lane, the first to fall, re-extending that gold lead up to about 2k.
I really like what they did there. They pressured 2 lanes at the same time. Bal forced to focus more on the Rift Herald, but it is still SMB getting that First Blood Tower, getting them that gold advantage. Let's take a look at that replay again. Really nice Grand Starfall, but the Starfall was towards the tank. It was towards the Wukong. It's not something that he used to attack the backline. So I think that is the reason why they didn't get to get Gandalf, they didn't get to get Katse at least in that fight, and basically all the carries from Bal were the ones that survived and got a lot of backline safety, and that's a double kill. And of course, the Corki will definitely welcome that.
It's kind of the panic point of where they focus pretty much exclusively on the Wukong with 2 ultimates, right? Grand Starfall connecting onto him and his clone, the same with the Nami Tidal Wave coming through. They're their 2 big kind of engagements in these fights before the Gragas arrived about 3 seconds later. Did get the ult down, disperse the team, but he's a full tank. He's not really there to be the damage threat for them, so not enough really coming out of Toolcast just yet in the game. Has got the items online to make sure he gets at least a first empowered ability, but you need a bit more than that, I feel, when you're coming up against the double carry of the Varus and the Corki. Let's keep a close eye on how the next fight breaks down. As it stands, again, about a 1.5k gold lead to Supermassive. They've had the control in the early game, but Bal are keeping up.
Yeah, the pressure will definitely fall on towards Bambi to use, again, the Grand Starfall to create opportunities, maybe a tower dive, and reach the backline and get Kadze. Kadze will definitely be the most vulnerable target because, again, very low mobility, and that's why they have Gariban, right? They do have a lot of peel, and I think that could be the biggest struggle in the upcoming fights. And for SMB, they'll definitely have a hard time, but good thing they have Tulkas here on the Kai'Sa that will serve as their late game carry. And with that said, we'll see if a 4-1 setup will be available for SMB as well, especially if Nokris gets ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the Fury is your kind of late game insurance policy along with the Kai'Sa, I feel like, right? Because Gragas is going to be full tank. The Pantheon will fall off the longer the game goes on. You're turning towards those 2 to be your big late game insurance policy. And on the other side, you're looking towards the Corki and the Varus, which really relies on the Wukong and the Renekton to drag them through the mid game a little bit, be that threatening front line with the Janna to be the counter disengage if they need it. But also on that side, looking towards them potentially starting to fall off as the later the game goes by too. So a few things to keep a close eye on as we get towards that 10-minute mark. And of course, the second Drake's now looking to come online. About 30 seconds away or so, I imagine you'll start seeing both teams heading back to base here, spending whatever gold they hold on to in anticipation of this next big fight.
Yeah, looking at the pickups for the next big fight, it is still, the Manamune, not yet fully stacked, but Serilda is getting picked up for Katse. I keep talking about this. It feels like you have an Ashe in your squad when you do pick this up, especially as Varus. So this means it's much easier. You provide utility, you provide slows, which also means that you can easily land the Chain of Corruptions for setups for the rest of the squad. Once you set that up, then you get the AoEs with the rockets. And now just a little bit of an exchange and poke coming from Nokris against Knight on top.
Yeah, I think there was him just trying to enter at the back, and Nokris wanted to give a little bit back to him on that side. See the recall coming in, and both top laners just bolt it down towards this Drake or out towards the mid lane. They know that's where the net scrap is going to be. Bal currently in control of the vision in the river, so the one's free to step in. Whereas SMB, I feel, are just playing this one a little more cautiously, waiting to see what the Corki does. Because that package, as we've seen for the last 2 or 3 days, has been an absolute terror in team fights.
Yeah, being able to have the fight. Here comes the Grand Starfall.
Well, straight on top as well. Yeah, Specs the one in the front line. Everyone else zone back was there as well. Janna ultimate coming out to try and keep everyone alive, but they're taking the Drake away. They could peel back here if they wanted to and call it a day. Knight in the front line, pretty tight, tanky, but no one at the back getting any damage down. The Varus and the Corki especially, completely out of mana, but able to dish out any real damage. And sure enough, it's going to be a, we'll take your dragon and we'll back away. No one dead in that fight.
Nicely done steal, yeah, from Bambi, and they're not even resetting yet.
I mean, they still want to try and go for a dive by the looks of it. Finish off the tower here. Now, potentially, they might be get forced into a fight they did not want to take. Heal coming out. Initial focus onto the Janna, but should be able to just walk himself away. Both teams opting to just back away from it once more, but it feels like it's Bal with some of the pressure in this bot lane, whilst up in the mid lane, it's Kai'Sa versus the Wukong.
It is just going to be the wave clear. No, Tulkas has been focusing on farming to speed up the process. Because again, you're up against, double 80 carries, especially Gandalf just going to balloon up, just going to hurt in the mid game. And with that said, Tulkas is just trying to again, make up for what happened earlier, I suppose. Well, not really make up. That's not what I'm talking about. But at the same time, for Bal, they're trying to find these 5v5s again. But I really like how you brought up that eventually, Knight's going to fall off. So I feel like the mid game is the best scenario for Bal to force fights.
Kind of feel it's the best time to press the advantage that you have with the Pantheon as well. I mean, he's now falling behind and he's the second poorest player on team. Look how much gold is being amassed by this Kai'Sa despite being 0, 1, and 0. 8.5k at the minute, light years ahead of seemingly anyone else both on the team and on the other side. The Corki just about breaking 8k. Yes, he's been quiet. Yes, he hasn't had to get involved anywhere. But when he does get involved, my God, is he going to make an impact?
Yeah, already picked up the Solari Charge Blade, so those Radiant stacks and the crits are gonna hurt a lot. And it synergizes well too because, Katse already has the Muramana fully stacked. So his piercing arrows will be absolutely painful. And we'll see if Bal, again, will decide to force a fight. Because so far, it's SMB who actually wants to force a fight here. Because again, you mentioned they are going to eventually fall off. And there's only so much a Gragas can do to be that peel for you, and as well as that Nami.
Indeed. I mean, the next one I think will be the big scrap around the next Drake when it comes online, which is still just over a minute away, I think, at this point. So nothing ready to jump on just yet, unless they're trying to find an engage in the mid lane. They found the Varus actually as well with the stun coming out of the Panther. Spoke about that engage a lot. Not enough that's going to find them any real damage coming across or anything to threaten them to any great level. No summoners burn, and once again, both teams just walk away. A very patient game between these two teams, Riku.
That's very patient. And so far, what I'm seeing is that SMB is winning this because Bal, of course, they want to win. They want to fight 5v5, but SMB keeps splitting the map with the 1-3-1 setup with the Fiora and as well as Lonely Kid split pushing. Therefore, Bal is at the disadvantage. They can't exactly use the spikes that they have since they're pretty much separated and forced to reply to the split push of Nahkris and Lonely.
Keeping close on these items coming online as well, because that Fiora's hit that 2-item point. Not really super significant for a team fight right now, but this is where you start to see her begin to feel like a real split push presence as well, where she really can start to threaten people. Other side, similar story for the Renekton, who's finished off the Sterak's. Very useful in these next couple of team fights that will kick off. About 30 seconds currently building up towards that Drake coming online. It will be the Infernal, so both teams absolutely want to fight over this. This is going to be huge for them in the late game, and rightly so. You'll see this duo bot lane going back from the mid here to spend up all the gold, all the pennies they've been amassing. This is where you should start to see things really kick off. Bambi going back, I imagine, wanting to use that ultimate into this fight once again. It needs to be a better gauge than just catching out the Wukong like last time.
Yeah, this is a very key moment for them. It is Bambi going to be the only one that can reach the back line against Gandalf, against Katse. We'll have to see if they're able to execute that in comparison to what we've seen in the first Dragon fight. And here we go. Infernal Drake, vision-wise, there's not a lot going on, but Bal seems to be first on the case in this area.
And they've got the control again, right? Vision maybe not so much because of the fact the Crab is on. They're starting to get some down, sweeping out whatever they can. The Crab about to expire as well, so only really going to help the side of SMB for so long. Bottom side, there's a little bit of a skirmish going on between the Gragas and the Renekton. Neither side looking dangerously low right now, in fact, barely at all. And this is where you'll see them start to move up again. Positional advantage with Bal, but in comes the ult from the Pant into the shallow line as well. Great engage coming in. The ult at the Gragas, that's what you're looking for. The defensive package being used by Gandalf to try and escape this one. But this is a wipeout for SMB, walking their way through. The GA being popped out, but this is where you're seeing the power of that farmed up Kai'Sa. They can't quite get the finish off, and they've got a few low members themselves. What? Oh, the double flash coming out. Guys gets hit, but doesn't drop. It's not the same story for Bambi, and the two carries alive for the side of Bal, kiting their way backwards, yet still dealing damage. Good kiting, and no one really walking away a definitive winner, even though SMB did get 2 kills, while Bal only found 1.
Yeah, that piercing arrow was painful from Katse there. And yes, it is SMB struggling to find and pick off one of the carries. And the Grand Starfall was there to, zone out the rest of Bal away from the Dragon. It wasn't utilized to get to the backline because, again, I think it has something to do with the vision. They don't have information, meaning they can only push little bit on near the Dragon, and that piercing arrow was just so painful. If this keeps happening, SMB will continue to lose these fights.
There's Corki being saved as well by the package, admittedly. Got ulted back towards the SMB team, so we're sat in no man's land, truly screwed in the back line of SMB. Just packages over a couple of walls immediately to safety. And for SMB, you saw that chase game not working in their favor. They were having to run their way through the jungle, around a couple of windy walls. It was never going to be super ideal for them, but worked out perfectly for the side of Bal, with the E coming out from the Varus, doing enough to slow them down on the chase through. But again, we're squaring up for this Drake. Ultimates are back online. Bambi, I really wanted to go a bit deeper with these ultimates and try and connect onto the carries, but it's not happening. In they come. Varus taking it away, but they're straight into the backline. Solka, weird little Zhonya's in the backline, but still comes out to start doing a little bit of damage. Trying to do what he can. Nacris is in the backline as well, but can't do enough.
There we go.
The carry's just a little bit too strong, but in come SMB. The cavalry has arrived. They close down 2. They kill the mid lane. They kill the jungle. They kill the support. A much better, more decisive fight for Supermassive Blaze.
Exactly, that's the way to go. Grand Starfall into Gandalf. That is the perfect setup that SMB has been waiting for. And just as you mentioned, jungle gone, support, and one of the AD carries. That means it is going to be an easy Baron for SMB to take.
You say easy. It's time to square up to come back in and go for the contest on this one. We've got the barrier still available on the Varus if desired. Nothing ready for the Renekton outside of a flash. But they could try and get a little bit cheeky with this one if they want. Ult coming through, just to give them some idea as to what's going on. They really want to try and steal this away, but interrupted by the Nami ultimate. Won't be able to do enough. They secure it away, and an amazing Gragas ult comes through and knocks both members back towards his team. And this is going to be 2 other kills alongside the Baron coming in for Supermassive. 10 and 5 and a 9k gold lead assembling.
Yeah, that is a big, big bonus. Not only getting Baron, but also more death timers for Bal's side. That means they have more space to, you know, not go back and reset, but push through more of these towers. Nice bubble.
One guy neglected there. That's burning through a tank, let's not forget as well, because the Wukong is the front line for this team. He's being burnt through in a couple of abilities, a couple of autos coming out of, say, Tulkas. There is a problem. Who, speaking of, has got basically no mana left. Here, Nacris is the one looking to step in and start trying to bring down this tower. No Baron buff on his side because of how he died or wasn't around in the prior fight. But still, good pressure being shown by the side of Supermassive. Barely any towers down. In fact, no towers down for the other side.
And it all started from here, too. There's the Grand Starfall and the Tidal Wave knockup. And the funnel of Bambi to, again, to Gandalf and the Killer Instinct to penetrate the backline was just so perfect. Therefore, the awkward thing was, you know, Gariban and Knight had to go all the way around to join the carries, but it was pretty much too late. And they are definitely rewarded with this Baron. Nice cast coming from Lonely Kid and basically getting 2 bonus kills off of that.
Well, they've already found themselves a tower in the top lane and mid lane. It's like we come back from a replay and the game state has just completely changed. They've got themselves 2 towers. That's kind of what you're looking for. Man, there are so many Lord of the Rings references in this game. It's wonderful. Bambi ulting enough to the side as well. Looking towards the bottom tower now is the next one that they can only focus on. There are no other ones standing. Won't have enough minions around to make sure they can 100% clear it out, but the pressure is on. And very little else that the side of Bal can do to push them back here. That gold lead ballooning up to about 14,000 recoup.
Yeah, a little bit of good news. They do have wave clear from Gandalf and from Katze, but at the same time, this is just a lot. This is just a big lead.
It's massive. Incoming the engage as well to see what they can do. Package being used aggressively for the first time in a couple of fights, but great ult coming out of the Kai'Sa. Chasing, flashing, trying to connect onto the Corki, but can't quite find it. And now out of mana, this is where SMB need to be careful. They're tanking up this tower. They really want to bring it down. We'll finally get there. All 3 taken out. They may pay the price of the Gragas, but he walks away on low HP. SMB, they've got what they came for. All 3 towers, all the pressure in the world. Now they can afford to breathe for a few minutes, collect any objectives they want. I'm looking towards the Elder, thinking about the Baron. Once those are on side, it's going to be game over for Bal unless they can pull off something incredible.
Yeah, so far SMB not buying any sort of teleports, even though we get to see deep vision in the base of Bal. So SMB is just going to play it safe. They just want to play it calculated and just aim for this Elder Drake to spawn. And for Bal, just as you mentioned, they get a little bit of that breathing space, get the buffs to be able to farm a little bit, and get space to maybe potentially try to contest the Elder Drake. But if they take too much time, we know that Nacris will just split push and end the game.
That's the big concern, right? I mean, look, top wave's pushing in, bottom wave's being pushed into. They're almost sat in a 1-3-1. Awkward to see a tank Gragas up there by himself doing that work, by the way. But one, you're not going to complain about all too much. The sideways going in mean that the defenders do need to be careful here and be ready to pull back. So much so that it sits as Tulkas can just basically solo this Drake. He ulted onto the Drake because why the hell not? Didn't want Tulkas to take all the glory for himself, of course. And now they can go for the Baron. They can shove it in and then look for the end.
Yeah, it was just a smite secure coming from Bambi there. I thought it was going to be used to just scare Gandalf once more in the mid lane since he was a little bit pushed forward. But this is Lonely. Split pushing. Uh-oh. Spec.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I mean, the engage. Look at the damage going on Spec as well. The ult coming out. Doesn't have the decoy to burn through here as well. Melted through their front line. The Janna flashing away. Not the best ult use in the world, but they're just going to charge their way through. Nakras has hit the late game and is melted through a couple. Almost goes down, but they should find themselves yet another finish off here. Gandalf in no man's land. The stun a little bit early, but it doesn't matter. A killing spree for Tulkas. A game one being won by Supermassive Blaze in emphatic fashion.
What a finish. They struggled a little bit in the early game with the 2 dragon fights, but at the end of the day, they found their target. Bambi was able to grant Starfall into the backline, able to find Gandalf, and after that, it has been a balloon of 8k gold lead into the Baron.
So much work being done by Bambi. We spoke about the Pantheon over the last few days, Riku. You're seeing it shine up again here and have fantastic impact in the mid-game. And really, we never had a chance to see Spec fight his way back into the game on that. Wukong was always on the back foot, always sat behind, and that mid-game farming for Tulkas because of the space given by the Pantheon, absolutely magical. Now, from what I understand, you've got us a little clip to play back, one that you liked in that game, Riku. So why don't you take us over to the drawing board and show us what it is that you enjoyed so much in that game?
Yeah, here we go. This is, I believe, the dragon fight here. Really nice tidal wave, by the way, coming from Guys here. And the following bubble as well. That's a 4-man bubble. Imagine with the AoEs and everything. But it still doesn't change the fact that Gandalf and Katze were pretty much safe to free hit, to land all the AoEs in the world as well. So this is a struggle. Being in this choke point against Katze and Gandalf in this scenario is gonna really hurt you. So I really like this fight over here because it felt like SMB knew what to do, but they just couldn't find, Bal in the back line there. And it was just, it looked, I want to see the piercing arrow here as well with the flash. Piercing arrow, boom! That's a double kill. But at the end of the day, it's SMB finding the right fights at the 3rd dragon fight and then, getting to the Baron and winning the game.
It was beautiful, really well fought, and that Varus ult, didn't see it so much at the time. Incredible, locking down every single member on the other side. However, that is the end of game number 1. A great start coming out for the side of Supermassive, but can they carry on in game 2? Let's get into it. Game 2 then, Riku. Same team, same lineup you saw not too long ago. Supermassive Blaze with a pretty dominant first game, although it wasn't without moments of worry, where Bal did manage to take one 3-0 team fight in the early game. But speaking of the draft though, Riku, anything that you feel needs to change here?
For Supermassive, the same. The 1-3-1, rely on Nakras and Lonely Kid in the side lanes. And for Bal, more, we'll have to see if they decide to go back into the drawing board. Maybe 5v5s, perhaps, considering that is their strength that we saw. Maybe Katze on the Kai'Sa, maybe. Maybe bring back the Diana for Gandalf.
Never going to complain about seeing Diana. I'm a filthy Diana main through and through. But the first ban from Bal is going to be the Akali coming out. On the other side, the Ziggs.
Yeah, Bal doesn't want to see Nakras on that Akali again. He had a crazy game the other day as well. Fiora just basically straight up banning out all of Nakras picks over here. Now the Ziggs and the Ahri, just a lot of focus on the mid lane. Again, lots of respect towards Gandalf. So it's looking like a mid lane versus mid lane scary matchup so far. Bal now removing the Gragas. They don't want any sort of red side Gragas, perhaps, where you pick up maybe blank Gragas, AD carry plus Gragas. So now that SMB bans out the Garen, maybe a Renekton pick may also come up on SMB side.
Maybe a Darius, that was banned away in the previous game as well, as there is an option if they so choose, but the Camille that was also banned away has been denied. That Fiora with Nakra is clearly a little bit too much for them. Supermassive again, jumping straight onto that Pantheon. Keep on speaking about this champion right now, seems incredibly oppressive in the early game jungle. Other side, the Camille and the Fiora coming through, so again, leaning in towards that Corki that did do good work, and there's that Darius that I thought we might see.
Well, that means that SMB will think a little bit twice on getting the Renekton as I was finishing my sentence. But the only weak thing is the level 1. After that, if the Renekton survives, it's pretty much stabilized. Now the Kai'Sa getting picked up because it's just so easy to follow up with the Grand Starfall into the tidal wave. You just penetrate straight to the back line, and I feel like this has been SMB's winning formula. Curious to see what Nacris will pick up as Bal decides to pick up this Twisted Fate and the Braum for that disengage.
All right, I quite like it. I mean, the global play, always a big fan. The catch potential with something like a Camille is going to be unbelievable if they manage to shape things up well. The fact that they can just descend into the top lane and basically guarantee that Darius a kill, or even in the bot lane with the Braum, lots of kill potential. I like that we've got some kind of pressure coming out in the early to mid game because that was missing at points. Game is ready though, Riku. Let's get into it. What is it that you are looking forward to most between these two teams in this game?
For Supermassive, I am looking forward to seeing again the Grand Starfall going to Katse or Gandalf. But the thing is, it's not a Janna this time around. It is up against a Braum who will be able to punish you so easily with the passive stacks, with the Winter's Bite, with basically everything. Braum is basically built up against Lonely Kid and Bambi as well. And especially Tulkas. If Tulkas decides to aggressively go for a killer instinct, you may get greeted by a stun. So the 131 is available for Bal as well. We see Knight possibly and Spec split pushing the side lanes, but earlier on, level 5, Gandalf, we are going to be expecting top side visits perhaps, and even tower dives against Lonely Kid.
This could be such an aggressive top lane as well. Thinking back to League PC, Darius versus Renekton, it's a real brawl of the off tanks, and that's what I'm expecting it to turn into. Of course, we'll see that requires some jungler intervention before it gets much bigger, but already at the early level, the grab starting things off at level 2, looking to do something, and now it's Bambi off to the side. That sweeper going away, but well warded coming out from Knight. Just knows Bambi, knows that aggression that we saw in game 1, knows how to prevent it, or at least deter it for now.
Yeah, level 3 is incredibly strong for both Bambi and Lonely Kid. So Knight will have to play a little conservatively for now. When level 5 comes, though, that means Spec can assist.
Oh, the stayed at the stuns there. He can flash away in time if he wants to. He's got his own flash, has the barrier, and he will get away just fine. I can't help but feel if SMB there had layered their stuns a little bit better, that could have been a kill.
Yeah, that definitely could have been a kill. Knight, though, has spent all of his summoner spells, so I feel like Lonely Kid and Bambi will still stick around, like what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you bully him? He's stuck in the tower. He's a juggernaut. He can't go anywhere, and stunned up he shall be. First blood going the way of the Renekton. That is yet again an awesome early game impact coming out of the jungler from Supermassive Blaze.
Yeah, really nicely done. They want to get this this Renekton ahead to be that big bully in the mid game. Now Gandalf is going to try and find Bambi, though, just trying to slow down to buy some time for Spec to arrive and take this Rift Scuttler.
I kind of feel like it's 2 for 1 in the top lane as well, that you're easing the Renekton up into what is normally quite a difficult matchup against the Darius, but also getting yourself snowballing at the same time. And the best thing for Bambi, still got that flash on side, and here is that replay of the tower dive, Riku.
It is the Apprehend being used, the Lonely Kid getting the tower aggro, but Bambi was still pretty much very healthy, and Lonely Kid was able to escape a 1-for-1 trade as well. It was pretty close, but it was still clean coming from SMB.
Got the supports both playing around the mid lane here as well, having roamed up, leaving their marksman down in the bot lane to do what they do best, which is sit and farm until 15 minutes and then come and melt some faces. At least that's what Tulkas would have you think, given the previous game. It was about that 15-minute mark when he rocked up with a 1,500 gold lead over some of the enemy carries and absolutely decimated them in fight. At least for now, as things peaceful down, because you know in about 60 seconds' time, that Drake is coming online. You're going to have the Herald coming online. That is where the focus is going to be. Really keen to see a Supermassive Blaze say, forget about the Drake for now. Our attention instead is going to be solely on getting that Herald because we want the early tower pressure.
I think it's possible. We saw how Spec moved a little bit towards the lane gang, but decided to get that reset, be nearer towards the dragon in case SMB decides to take this Mountain Drake. And it is possible. Gandalf can activate Destiny and basically tower dive alongside with Spec and eliminate Lonely Kid, making it a 4v5, making it a comfortable Rift Herald take, getting First Blood Tower, and then getting all that gold for Knight as well for him to snowball, again, get that resets as well. Because again, Renekton, Darius, they basically have a similar story of having to spin out of control. Now the biggest question is, will that be Knight? Will that be Lonely? We'll have to see if the opportunities open up.
And Bambi's getting engaged onto here as well. You've got a Camille with ultimate. There should be no getting out of this one, but flashes towards his team. The safety is provided. Bal will opt to back away. A pretty crucial flash to take down, though. The Pantheon with no flash means no flash, instant stun engage, which could mean that a couple of these carries on the side of Bal are a little bit safer in this fight.
Yeah, that's something that Bambi would love to have in the dragon fight. Just as you mentioned, flash engage, or after the Grand Starfall, you flash out. Because again, a Pantheon, if you go in, there's really no way out. And Destiny now being popped.
Where it goes is the big question. Or towards the top
Rift
side,
Herald.
apparently. Just to contest and stop this being done, I think, more than anything else. They're not really looking to take it away themselves just yet. Sort of torn between, do we go for the Drake or do we go for the Herald? We're not really too sure. SMB aren't quite sure where they need to match, but just like in the previous game, they're happy to be passive and play back a little bit, but without the Grand Starfall coming in from Bambi, they can't really stand up to contest this, especially when that package is online on the other side. They immediately run down towards bottom river to try and get this Drake down, but something tells me with the side of Bal chasing them down, this isn't going to be as simple as they would like. They acknowledge as much and just say, look, forget about it. It's not worth us getting our house cleaned out this early on.
Yeah, it's a really good call. The fact that Lonely Kid was way on top side.
I mean, Nakres gets ulted out as well. Can't on the other side of it, the tidal wave coming across, not quite connecting anywhere. Tulkas going pretty deep. He's in the front line. That's no place for a carry. He understands that and flashes away. But this has been the clean that they were looking for. Bal, they were just waiting for Supermassive to take a bite. And my God, did they try and chew him down.
That is definitely the dive that we have been waiting for, with as well with the Twisted Fate. They even get rewarded with the Rift Herald plus this dragon. I think that's super duper massive. And with that, SMB again, unfortunately unable to find the setups. They get baited with the important ults before anything could happen.
Right, being finished up for Gandalf as well. About that 6-minute mark, man, the wizard has finally found his staff. That's what he's looking for to try and do some damage. I'm thinking now about these next couple of fights, though, and looking at the difference in this game compared to the previous one, you've got about a 3k gold lead starting to assemble, and really, a lot of it came off the back of this engage recoup.
Now, this could possibly balloon up. I mean, it was just a very, very clean dive coming from Bal there with a Hextech ultimatum, and then with all the rockets and the stuns coming from Gandalf and Katse. And, you know, Nami wasn't there, guys wasn't there, so therefore the disengage that SMB needed at the time wasn't gonna help at all.
Absolutely not. Again, turn your eyes up towards that gold at the top of the screen. That 3k lead for Bal is the one that I'm watching. We're at points where they were ahead in the previous game, let's not forget, but Supermassive did manage to pull themselves back, and even when Supermassive were behind, they never really kept that gap to the max of about 2,000 gold. Whether or not that story stays the same in this game will depend a lot on how these next few minutes play out. But I do expect a little bit of peacetime here. There won't be any crazy fights, at least I hope not, before we see the next Drake starting to come online.
Infernal Drake, yeah, that's going to be a very juicy target that SMB and Bal would love to have. And yeah, it is quite similar to what we've seen in game number 1. You know, SMB always getting caught out, or rather not finding the fights that they want. Destiny, where is that going? Oh, nah. Once they saw Geist, they were like, hey, let's not pursue this. That's a Nami. That's the bubble. That's the tidal wave. We might get punished here. The fact that they don't have deep vision as well makes them second guess their choice and decision.
And I think really in a way, if you see the solo Croc there, you think, all right, there's a new pair of slippers there. Like, we're in a 3 versus 1. One of us has to go without. Speaking of, the engagement for the Croc is now coming, and they definitely want that crocodile bag.
Starfall.
In comes the Grand Starfall on
He's
top,
alive.
and enough to keep him alive. No, the Ignite ticking through and bringing him down. Garabin walking away as well on a slither of HP, but it's still the kill that Bal came in looking for. That again accelerates their lead now up to about 4,000 gold.
Yeah, that felt like a 1v1 in the bot lane, though. A little bit close. But I want to get back on my point at top side. It felt like SMB wanted a bait.
I mean, still want to try and go for something here as well. Shockwave coming out into a bubble. Great CC chain coming out against Spec, who has no way of walking out of that one alive. Knight left without a friend in the top lane.
Bal wanting to engage another fight. Got a little bit greedy, I suppose. Spec didn't have any ult there, so they couldn't lock anyone down. And Nakres was pretty much nearby. Got the Shockwave and is able to punish Bal being a little bit too forward there. And with that, I feel like it's now equalized-ish. It is just, what, a 2k gold lead in favor of Bal here. Let's take a look at that again. Hextech ultimatum. This is a really interesting bait coming from SMB here. They knew that Bambi and Nakres was just on their way back, but the damage was just too much, and I feel like they didn't anticipate it. And with, oh, it was Spec. that engaged on this fight. But Nacris was just nearby. It was an easy shockwave with just putting the ball on to Bambi after the stun.
You want to give a shout out to guys as well in both of those clips. You just saw phenomenal bubbles coming through the chain onto the Camille in top lane. And then the prior fight to that was the double bubble that really helped try and keep the Renekton alive, although ultimately didn't do them any damn favor. Either way, Nacris finding himself a little bit overextended and burnt out here. Gandalf and Knight, the ones walking away, the benefactors.
Yeah, Nacris just wanted to get First Blood Tower, maybe, but of course there is that threat of Gandalf just being able to get that teleport from the Destiny here. And we'll see. Well, not First Blood Tower, because the mid lane is already down, by the way. And I mean, trying to get another tower down, rather. We'll see 16 seconds. What is wrong with me today? 16 seconds on the clock before the Baron spawns. But of course, the important thing is the Infernal Drake.
And again, no, it's Bal in control. Surely the ult comes in. Grand Starfall across as much of the team as possible. Most of them sidestepping in. They want to burn the hell out of this Pantheon. He's in no man's land. Does he go for the smite? Does he steal it? No, he doesn't.
No.
It's the Corki that takes it away. Smited down to about 9 HP there, I think. Ever so slightly short. And now that Bambi's off the board, they can turn their attention towards Baron if they feel brave.
Yeah, 19 seconds on the clock for Bambi to respawn. And I feel like with this chase, it could possibly be a long take. So Bal decided not to risk it and just go for another tower down. It's going to be a 4v5 situation. We'll see if SMB decides to fight this.
They want to force something because they know they've got the numbers advantage and there's not really any risk of Bambi being involved just yet. He has now respawned as well, and sure enough, SMB are backing away. Trying to play it a little more passively here. Don't want to get sucked into a hyper-aggressive engage too early on. But that deficit has now grown to 5,500 gold. Bal finding the opportunities to catch out these members of SMB and accelerate their lead ever further forward.
It is definitely possible with how much control that they have. Again, Val has been doing a great job maneuvering around the engages coming from Bambi. And for SMB, they want to get the perfect setup. They want, what, the Tidal Wave, the Killer Instinct, and as well as the Grand Starfall to find Katse. He is the biggest member of Val. 300 already has the Solari Charge Blade in his back. And meanwhile, the Cannon Minion doing a lot of work here with just 100 HP on this one.
Should be enough to finish it off as well. One more shot, maybe two. Oh, you're kidding me.
The next wave. The next wave's gonna do it, maybe.
Next wave should get it, and that's of course the Camille goes sprinting up to save the tower. God knows. But you were right. I did want to touch on the gold diff. 1,500 gold lead in the mid and a 2k gold in the marksman position. That is absolutely huge. Elsewhere, not huge differences in gold, but they're not the positions that matter. It is all about these damage-based positions. You can already see at this point, like you say, the Corki heading in towards that third item already, whilst on the other side, Kai'Sa still only really sat at the one.
Gandalf.
Running in one catch coming in. Grand Starfall coming in on top for a bit of support, but maybe in no man's land here. Bambi might be in a spot of bother. Does he have flash? Yes, he does. Gets himself away to safety. But again, another counter engage. It doesn't work out. And oh my God, you've gone straight into a Corki. That's not the man you want to sit in the front line of. They're tanking the tower. They're going for the dive. It's a triple kill for Katse. He's going to be absolutely huge on his next back. And I do wonder, are we going to see any potential fight back for Supermassive Blaze? Because I simply don't see it in this game, Riku.
It's really difficult. Katse is just massive. He is unstoppable right now. And the fact that, again, the Braum is always by his side. It all started here with Gandalf getting that gold card onto Tulkas. Therefore, every single summoner spell is down. This is a fight that they're not prepared for. SMB cannot fight this back. The fact that Katse comes from the side, and he's just massive. The Solari Charge Blade Essence Reaver is just already enough. What more once he comes back into that third item, Infinity Edge, which will be soon.
Burning through them. Doesn't matter if it's a Braum with the shield up, they'll still sit there and happily gattle away through the shield. You are right, look at it now. 12,500 gold. No one else on the other team really approaching 10k anytime soon. He goes back and spends. He is going to be huge come the next main objective fight.
The good news... Oh.
Run, lonely kid. Don't be so lonely. Act up to your name. Have no friends. Leave the social environment you find yourself in. Walks away alive, but with the ultimate being burnt out. Didn't have barrier, didn't have flash. It's still not a great outcome for Supermassive Blaze.
Yeah, they don't have space to work with at the moment. They still have to wait for Bal to start the Baron, perhaps, and make sure that they stay alive as fives. And I think the good news so far for SMB is that Katse is the only Fed member of the team. If they kill him, they have a better chance to survive and even win a fight. And they do have the tools to do so. Bambi with the stuns for the Grand Starfall again, penetrating the back line. Basically, it's a fight here.
Knight wants this. He's like, yeah, you want to fight? I'm more than happy to do so. His E is down for the Pantheon. He's been melted out. Bambi, as well as he played in the first game, I think being a little bit over-aggressive here and not respecting his boundaries as a Pantheon in a mid-game that has not taken off in the early. And now it should be a free Baron coming in for the side of Bao. Great bubble again coming out of Guys into a combo, but Gandalf can just flash away and keep himself alive. Now it's down to Guardian, it's down to Knight. What can they do? Away goes the Baron, and now it's about turning this into a fight. Another amazing bubble. Guys has been landing them all game long, but sadly, you can only bubble so many times here to give your team an advantage. Everyone else is low on the other side. Should still be the kill coming through. Yet another triple kill for the Corki of Katse. And SMB, I think in game 3, will be thinking about maybe you've got to ban that one away.
Yeah, that's going to be consuming one ban, leaving one open. And yeah, Katse is just massive. No one can threaten him. And I think the struggle is Supermassive. Every single time that they want to engage with the Grand Starfall, everybody else from the team are far away. And let's take a look back at Geist's bubble. It's amazing. You use the shockwave after. Yeah, but then you know your two member. Yeah, every single bubble. It's just massive from Geist. It's just too bad there's no follow up because Katse is just so far ahead.
That is the battle. It feels like you could do everything wrong in this game, or everything right, sorry, in this game, and he'd still shoo you apart. That's just how far ahead he is. Now we're looking towards the bottom side. 3 cannons plugging away on this tower, joined, of course, by 3 champions. Now turning their attention in towards this first inhibitor tower. That will be what really starts to sound the death knell for the side of SMB, which will put us at 1-on-1 and basically reset the series into a best of 3. Katse is still here as well. What can they do? Look at how much damage Lonely Kid takes trying to go in. He can do nothing. Great shockwave, but the scaling and damage simply is not there for Nacres. This first tower is going to fall down, and now the attentions must turn towards top or mid. But already, again, you can feel the end of the game on the horizon, Riku.
Yeah, this is just a massive, massive lead for Val. And SMB, unfortunately, just has to watch this happen and think through the future. Think to the game number 3. What are their solutions to face off Katse's threat? Especially, look at them now. They're going in.
All the way in. This one ain't even going to be close. It's going to be a slaughter, Riku. They're decimating the members on the side of Supermassive Blaze. The Nexus is laid bare. It will fall down. Game 2 going the way of Bal Esport.
And there, Bal Katse, he's legendary in this game, and no one was able to answer him from Supermassive. And so excited to see if we get to see this Corki pick once more. Especially Katse had a phenomenal game in game number 2.
I won't lie, I got no idea what my camera's doing right now, Riku. We'll take it as it goes. It appears to be frozen. I'll sort it out after this. But let's take a look at some of the highlights from that game. One of the ones looking at it that, again, first game was all about Bambi. This next one, though, everything coming down to Katse and the Corki.
Yeah, they were focusing a lot on Lonely Kid, which is, again, what they wanted to do. They wanted him to shine. He wanted them, Lonely Kid, to basically be that bully as the Renekton. But the biggest problem is the rest of the lanes pretty much suffered. You've got Tolkas getting dove upon, and as well as this fight in the mid lane. I feel like that double kill in this particular fight just started the reign of Katse as the Corki. And again, the Grand Starfalls, unfortunately, it wasn't enough because there is no follow-up. Even though Bambi was in too deep, the rest of the squad wasn't exactly nearby to follow that up.
Absolutely. One of the ones that you just look at and just think, what could they have really done to fight back against that? And to me, Bambi, as we mentioned, did get caught out a lot in the early to mid game, just finding himself in spots where he was never really going to be able to war his way back in, already too far behind, and the rest of Bal just playing it right. Don't go over aggressive, don't over press it, let SMB be the ones that make the mistake and get the clean win.
Yeah, and exactly, that's exactly what happened. I feel like, Gandalf as well did an amazing job just baiting out key ults from SMB with the Destiny. And it's just such a worth thing, especially if you already baited out the Grand Starfall, the Shockwave as well. And it's just amazing to watch, especially Nacres was so, or rather not Nacres, it was so huge in this game. Katse, rather.
Awesome. Well, I hear game 3 is pretty much ready. So how about we get ready to jump into it, Riku? Back once again, Riku and the Shadow Man, Desertu himself, ready for game number 3. SMB coming up against Bal. In case you missed these first 2 games, you've missed quite a spectacle. Bambi running away with the first game, Katsei in game number 2 on the Corki, an absolute terror. Now the attention turns, of course, towards this pick and ban phase. What changes will we see? Will Katsei get banned away? That's the question that I am excited to see. So let's get straight into pick and ban, Riku.
I feel like the Pantheon is starting to lose its magic here. And I love the combination though. Nami tidal wave for the rest of your team to follow up with a Grand Starfall, but at that point it feels like it was messy in the execution for game number 2. Now we're looking at similar bans so far. Bal and SMB just focusing on the mid lane, focusing on Gandalf and focusing on Nacris as well. And now the Darius, I think this is such a big respect ban for sure against Knight. So now we won't get to see, Lonely Kid struggle a little bit unless Bal decides to fall back into that Garen pickup. And now there you see it. There we have it, as we see Katsei's killer pick in game number 2 getting banned out.
Also the Camille on the other side too taken away, so quite a jumble of the bans. Clearly some threats in that prior game, but look at what made its way through. The Ziggs that has had nerf after nerf after nerf, yet is still a contested pick in the pick and ban, more often than not drawing a ban, finally makes its way through, and SMB will pick that one up.
Yeah, it's just really good. You're able to basically propel the game, accelerate the game with fast tower takes, and as well as having a very strong mid to late game with just a lot of bombs that are incredibly painful. Now SMB going through a different route. They're getting this Lulu. They're getting this Xin Zhao, meaning we could possibly see an Ashe coming in. It's basically similar to what we saw back in the GK composition yesterday for Bal, Twisted Fate once more. For Gandalf over here, it has been the semi-global ult, as a Nami could possibly finish this draft for Bal.
I don't hate it. I like on the side of SMB that we've got quite a bit of protection. The Wild Growth, the Polymorph, the Xayah Featherstorm, the Xin Zhao knockback, a lot of tools to deal with the Pantheon if they're worried about the global presence or pressure into the late game. But on the other side, it's the Olaf coming out. We've seen that picked up a couple of times in the top lane and just rampage its way through enemy teams. Straight into the back line, the focus on the Ziggs or on the Xayah. They're going to need it here to get onto these 2 pretty elusive carries, should we say, Riku?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Xayah with a self-peel, Wild Growth for that secondary safety. We'll see how Bal deals with a lot of those disengage.
Well, game is ready, so let's get into it then, shall we? It's time for game number 3.
And there we go. With the composition that we're seeing right now, big semi-global ults on the side of Bal. You got Knight, Gandalf with big level 5s. We're hoping to see that sort of flourish, possibly, maybe in the mid lane, maybe at the top lane rather. That's going to be a support Gragas that will help assist Katsei. Get that pylon, get that explosive cast to dismantle the formation of SMB. We're going to be seeing big, strong level 5s and potentially a snowball coming in from Bal. SMB though, we'll see with this 1-3-1 setup, Bambi of course, and as well as Lonely Kid with the split push, and very scary 3-man with a lot of range with Nacris here on the Ziggs, and the disengage if things get a little bit too sticky with that Wild Growth on the Lulu.
Absolutely, lots to look forward to. I'm somewhat surprised to see that Pantheon in the top lane. You prefer it when it can just appear out of the jungle anywhere at a moment's notice, but here it's about the scrap on the top side. Where I get a bit nervous about that for both picks is about the potential fall off. I know the level 5 is kind of a power point for both when they can have either a big engage in the Renekton in lane and become the lane bully that we all know he can be, or if it is the global presence coming out of the back of the Pantheon. So I'm looking again maybe towards the Olaf to be the one that has a big impact. It's Bambi on the bottom side and the Xin wanted to be the one that strikes first, but this ward should come through and there shouldn't really be too much to worry about. Can they catch onto him here? Engage won't come through. Garibin, sorry, just dashing away.
Yeah, SMB is just going to focus on that Rift Scuttler take. It's just going to be a trade of Scuttlers for SMB and Bal. And yeah, when we look at Bal's composition, usually when we see an Olaf, we usually see it paired with a Seraphine or a Lulu maybe, or an Orianna. Something that can help the rest of the team to catch up to spec when Ragnarok is activated. But everybody else pretty much has some air quote big map gap closer, I suppose, with Gandalf for the Destiny, Knight with the Grand Starfall, and the Killer Instinct from Kadze. The only person that may have a hard time sort of catching up is Gariban here on this Gragas.
Keep a close eye and see how things evolve in that area. Yep, top side again is the one I'm really excited to see evolve, but as of now, nothing too explosive up there. But as they start approaching that level 5 point, that's where we can start getting pretty excited about things. I'm looking towards the mid lane as well. I mean, Ziggs, we haven't really seen play so much in competitive play for the longest time because, again, always banned away despite the continuous successive nerfs. What's your take? Have you seen it much out there in SEA, or has it been banned away off from there and never really seen the light of day either?
I think it's something. It has something. It depends on the teams that want to be a little bit more on the macro-centric type of things, or do they want to explode at the early game and take that early lead and potentially snowball? And the thing about the Twisted Fate and Ziggs matchup, it's a very, very classic matchup where if Gandalf destinies and doesn't do any, isn't successful with that gank perhaps with their jungler, then it's Nokris being able to punish with possibly First Blood Tower as well. So I think that is something Gandalf should take into account and make sure he keeps his lane in check.
Alrighty. Oh, Bal, sorry, I always say Bal whenever I see the name just pop up. It's Spec, sorry. The Aussie in the game, the one in the Turkish battlefield, it feels like, squaring off to the right-hand side here, hoping to go for a dive onto Lonely Kid. They have the option available, and in comes the dive. There is a bit of support, but the Ziggs is here as well. This could go horribly wrong. The ult coming in, but can they turn it all the way through? The Olaf going dangerously low, but not enough to get finished out. Knight forced to flash away, chased down by that bouncing bomb, but not going to be enough to kill him either. 2 members on the side of Bal, walking away with about 100 HP.
Yeah, it's super tempting to get the honey fruit, but in exchange you get the slow. Meaning once you heal up, but you get slowed, that means you get more tower aggro, especially if you don't have flash already. So that was a little bit close for Bal there. Bal wanted to get a pick before the Infernal Drake spawned, but are unsuccessful, meaning SMB, getting that reset, is able to get 5v5 on this fight here for the best dragon in the game at the moment.
Yeah, the Infernal. That's what the dream one to start off with there. Question is whether or not Spec can get through the charge of this and get it down. Should be able to, but in comes the Pantheon. Everyone's piling into the pit, but who walks away? The winner, it's SMB with the smite coming through, but now the secondary prize, the bogey prize, the kills that you can find off the back of it. First blood coming out, the Xayah Featherstorm coming through to keep him alive, and away he will dance. It could have turned into 2. Oh, the bouncing bomb almost finding the Olaf at the back as well, but in the end it will be a 1-for-1, but it's a kill onto Tulkas with that first blood that gets me nervous for the later stages of the game.
Yeah, that can spell disaster if Tulkas is able to transition that lead even more. Plus, the Infernal Drake is a big bonus for them to get big damage for against Bal, rather. And for Bal, I think it's still a good call. They didn't overcommit, knowing that the Infernal Drake was practically lost. Knight was already down for the count. Let's take a look at that again. There was an attempt on the steal coming from the Pantheon, but unfortunately it is Bambi is able to get that secure. Tulkas had a lot of space for the auto attacks, and of course the fact that Featherstorm is still available made things a little bit harder for Bal to punish the positioning that Tulkas had, being very pretty far forward.
Absolutely. Things have got to develop a bit further forward from here now as things start to heat up. Only about 400 gold between the two teams after 5.5 minutes of play, so neither side really charging into the lead. That first Drake is the one that you really be paying attention to in the later stages of the game for Supermassive Blaze, as that really will set them ablaze with a damage bonus that, of course, it gives later on the game goes. Herald being dropped in the top side here as they look to accelerate it further forward. Knight now the one being dived onto. Question is if he has the E online, can he dodge most of this damage? Apparently no is the answer. Can't come out in time. They get the kill and no doubt will get the first tower. A massive explosion into the lead for the side of Supermassive Blaze.
I even tried a Grand Starfall out of there. But his SMB, with a lot of damage, with the stuns coming from Lonely Kid, is able to cancel and eliminate, rather, Knight. They get a big bonus as well with the tower getting destroyed. That's 2 towers across the map that SMB are going to be happy in taking. Means more space. Bal, unfortunately, is gonna have that limited space. I believe the red, whoa, what's happening? Blue and red buff are gonna be the blue-red buff quadrants of Bal are going to be very susceptible to that deep vision that SMB is going to plant later on.
All right, well, things need to keep on heating up here. And this is that dive that we saw come through just a second ago. It was pretty Clear cut, to be honest. I think as soon as they realized Knight didn't have his E online anymore, he was basically done. Even tried to get the ult off the back of it, so that's also on cooldown. Not the best outcome for Knight, that's for sure.
Yeah, getting that Grand Starfall off cooldown, but good thing though, not a lot of objectives that they could take. But Lonely Kid spots this out. There was a ward over there by the riverside, but if he doesn't get out, there's gonna be a third one joining the party.
Maybe it is. Potential dive coming in, but I think Lonely Kid a bit more aware this time around. In fact, no, wants to go back in and really take the fight to them as he has support coming through. No stun coming through, but the nice knockback coming in from the Grag. They pile in, layering up the CC, but the Wild Growth comes out. Now the question is, what more damage can they do? Tulkas in the front line trying to bring down Spec, who flashes away. They've left him for dead. The Gragas isolated and alone gets burnt down, even with the flash on side.
Yeah, Gary Ben was just the sacrificial lamb. A little bit worried there for Tulkas because he was very, again, a bit far forward next to an Olaf. So that could have been disastrous, but they directed their focus more on killing Gary Ben and are satisfied with that. It's really, really difficult when you're up against Lonely Kid, Dominus on top of the Wild Growth. He's going to be very, very tanking, is able to soak a lot more than what Bal has expected.
I got good news, by the way, Riku. I've returned from the Shadow Realm. The camera has been restored. All is well in the world.
That's great to hear, Dezichu. But let's take a look at that replay there. Again, it's the big, tanky Lonely Kid with a Wild Growth and the Dominus. And basically, Knights and as well as the Olaf decided to just run away. Not worth staying. But here we go. Air Drake now has spawned, now has been started by SMB.
This is where the scrap should come through that you're looking for it. This time it's SMB in control of the pit itself. But another ult coming back across. It's basically the same as last time, Riku, but a slightly different outcome because it's Bambi tearing his way through the backline on the Xin Zhao. They've got Bal on the run. Melted down. Knight, the last one standing. It's going to be an ace coming through for the side of SMB as this game looking much different to the second.
Yeah, it's much cleaner execution coming from SMB. And now they get the Air Drake. They will get also 2 towers. This gives a lot of space and room for SMB to set up for that Baron in the next few seconds. And for Bal, this has been the second attempt to aim the Starfall to steal instead of pursuing the backline, I suppose. Nacris was in a very beautiful position to just rain down bombs from a safe spot. And again, Tulkas, even though pretty low, he's still able to chase down, get 3 kills off of this, 2 kills off of this, and his lead is going to balloon up even more.
Ooh, I mean, Wild Growth, Xin Zhao charging at you after splitting you all up with the ultimate. It's never going to be a pretty outcome. But Bambi, not so much on the early aggressor, but that mid. Well, it's not really like he's not strong in the early game. Level 3, he is a great duelist, but it's really into that mid to late game where the Wild Growth Xin Zhao really comes to light. Frontlining, hacking people down, dispersing them, really tanky himself. There's just so much that works in favor of the Xin. And once his work is done, let's not forget that Stone Plate is also on side to hold things up for his team whilst they do the damage around him. So it's looking good for Bambi in this game. Currently set at 2-0-5. But as I mentioned earlier on, my eyes always turn towards Tulkas. We saw in game 1 what he can do on the Kai'Sa, and now he's about to push over that 10k gold mark along with Bambi. No one on the other side even remotely close to catching up to that.
Yeah, exactly. There's just 2 beefy frontliners when they ult, like the Dominus from Lonely Kid there, and serving as their frontline for that setup for Tulkas over here. And now we get to see SMB planning a little bit of vision here and there to guard the next juicy objective that SMB could possibly take. I mean, so far, SMB has been winning all these fights. And Bal, unfortunately, not finding the right opportunities, especially we're heading into the mark where it's so difficult to take advantage of the Grand Starfall, or Pantheon rather, falling a little bit off. Gandalf will have a hard time finding Destiny as well.
Oh, I mean, Lonely Kid, the one potentially being caught out, but slices and dices his way over the wall to safety. So although it could have been a potential way back into this game for Bal, ultimately nothing coming of it. Bambi, again, is the big threat I'm looking at here. I mean, look at his items, right? Sterex, the Cleaver, going in towards what looks to be a GA coming online. It's going to be so hard to stop him.
Yeah, it's going to be practically unkillable. And Bal will really have no choice but to face him whenever he's going to just try to bother the backline. Bother Katse here, bother Gandalf over here on that Twisted Fate. And now we get to see more items on the board. Staff of Flowing Water achieved, acquired by guys over here. So a lot of these cooldowns are going to be much, much faster, especially, again, these combo-centric champions that we're seeing on the board, like the Renekton, like this Xin Zhao as well.
Going about Chiefs, I think it's about right. It's an achievement you have to unlock to get Staff of Flowing Water.
That
it's
is
pretty
true.
busted. In 2 items online now, the stim that's giving over to say to the Xayah, even to the Xin somewhat as well. Going to be an absolute terror to walk through, and of course on the other side you're not really going to see that coming out of the Gragas in the supportive role, still looking to build in towards being pretty tanky in the mid to late stages of the game. You can see based on how Bal are playing, they're quite scared. I can't remember the last time I've seen a Bal member really step foot inside the river. As I say that, Spec is going to do just that, but they've very much been penned inside their own jungle for the most part, only now given a brief reprise by the fact there are 2 members of SMB back in base, the other 3 all converging on the enemy blue buff here to steal it away ahead of this Drake coming online.
Yeah, they're really afraid. So far, every single fight has been in favor of SMB. Now, Destiny being popped just to spot out where the rest of SMB is going to be, to make sure that the tower take at topside is going to be safe and sound. And now, no contest whatsoever for this dragon. And now SMB can look into applying more vision at the Baron area and see if they can set that up. Possibly bait out Bal to a fight that they're not prepared for. Especially, again, SMB are in the lead. They've got 3 dragons in their pockets. But looks like they're just going to utilize Nacris to keep taking down towers and get more space.
Well, let's look at it and go, okay, smart call by Bal. You knew they'd take the Drake, so why not focus down the tower to get some gold in your back pocket? But on the other side for SMB, 3 Drakes online, Elder being the next one. The lead they've already got sat at about 10k or so. I'd be feeling very nervous if I was Bal right now, because the next focus surely is going to be that Baron. Sure enough, 4 members of SMB all moving up towards that top side of the map, whereas Bal staying as a tight cluster, not wanting to get isolated and caught off, moving as a group of 4 in the mid.
The mini good news is that there's a little bit of deep vision, that one teeny tiny ward over near that Tri-Brush. So that could be an opening that Knight can take, perhaps?
No. No, you can't take the fight. No.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe SMB, once they decided to start this Baron, that could be Knight's information or Ghost Signal rather, but now that ward has expired, so now it's a very, very dark area that Bal not be able to confidently reach. Nicely done, Featherstorm, to dodge the gold card.
And also blocking out the recall coming out of Knight, which just staggers him away for a couple more seconds. Has to go back and recall. Doesn't feel like a lot, but it is still 15 seconds of his time being wasted there through the 2 recalls and the path back towards the base. So an okay outcome where, again, they are being slowly pressured in. You now see that the ward line for SMB starting to move up inside the enemy jungle. So a couple of bits of vision on the top side, mainly because of that Baron being online. I do wonder if SMB are trying to avoid taking the coin flip here for the Baron and saying, look, we need to hang around it. We don't want to concede it over to Bal, but we'd much rather just wait for that next Drake to come up and have that be our big focus.
Yeah, Bal is just waiting for SMB to start this Baron. They are going to be waiting for them to take that bait, and or not.
Just get out of dodge, mate. Just keep away is the only way you can describe it. They're definitely every time someone steps forward, they're being chunked down to about half HP in a second or so. It's ludicrous how untanky this team is right now, because the tankiest member you've got really, you're looking towards the Pantheon with that Randuin's on side. A Pantheon is going tank. That's how you know there's a little bit of a problem. Now we're putting this focus in towards trying to get down the Baron, but in come the ultimates, the 2 globals in play, and the engage might come through. Off to the side, it was the Renekton going down to about half HP, but it's the wrong target. The carry's in the back untouched. The flash forward, the smite comes through. That's 3 out of 3 smite fights won by Bambi this game. They get the Baron. They find Spec going down. Can they crush a couple more? The answer apparently is yes, as the wind becomes lightning, becomes a spear, and brings down yet another. The 3rd kill flies through. This could be the game end if they can carry on, but another flash away. Bal are left with 2, but definitely not left with any towers once this team are done with the base.
Yeah, Nacris was just busy in the mid lane. It was a 4v5.
The end of the game likely boiling in here as well. The sprint down towards the Nexus. Forget about pushing in the side lanes. They've done all they needed to close it out. SMB taking us up to 2-1 and to series points.
Yeah, this is match point for Supermassive Blaze, and what a commanding fight. What a commanding game number 2 or 3 rather for them, and it is just very confident in every single point of the game.
It's just one of them where I think the confidence built up. And for Bambi, it was interesting seeing him away from the Pantheon, like you say, getting on something a little bit different. The Xin having a lot of impact once he started pairing it with that Lulu in the mid-game. That's what you want to see coming out of your junglers. Let's take a look at a few of the highlights, though. As it currently stands, I'm wondering to see what's got to change in the next game. I say it after every single game, but it's because I am infinitely curious, you know. How do you respond to this in a draft? You picked away the Pantheon that you had a good game on to start with, a weaker one in the second, but as things bubbled on, you saw actually that Xin Zhao is also a massive threat of his.
Yeah, I think this Lulu pick really did a lot of work to serve as a disengage. Whoever is the focus of Knight is just going to get that wild growth, so it makes things a little bit hard to burst someone down and just denies the kill and the play after that Grand Starfall. And I gotta say though, in this game, Tulkas has been very, very brave in this game. You know, all of these flash forwards, all of these, positioning being very, very close to the Olaf. I think we've seen this so many times and it has been working. I feel like Tulkas is really feeling it. Exactly. This happened numerous times in the game. Again, flashing forward to enemy lines without guys in the equation. So I feel like he's really feeling the Kai'Sa, and I'm not going to be surprised if he picks it again in the next match.
I mean, she's got that button called the I'm a bad AD carry button that you press and it gets you out of dodge and you stay alive. So why not?
Right.
No complaints. I understand it entirely. I'm joking. Tulkas is not a bad AD carry. Even in the last game they lost, we did see him trying to fight his way back in and do some good work. But the real star of the show for me, again, was Bambi. Game 1, Game 3, MVP for me by night and day. 3 out of 3 Baron steals, or not Baron steals, sorry, but objective contest with the Smite. He walks away as the winner. Spec not even able to get a look in. Really well played by the Xin.
Yeah, he was very, he seemed very calm whenever a Grand Starfall would come along. I mean, Knight would constantly target a potential steal. You drop in from the sky, get the smite on. But Bambi dealt with all those 3 instances really, really well. And what was the result? 3 dragons in the bag and 1 Baron.
Absolutely. Super solid game coming out of Supermassive again. But we saw in game 2 what can happen. We're stepping into another even number game. Can they fight their way back in? Heaven knows. But let's get into it because game number 4 is almost ready. All right, Riku, game number 4 coming right up and at us. A little bit of difference needed in this game or Bal are done. SMB sat at 2-1, need just one more map. They will walk away as the victors of the August final, the lion's share of the prize pool. Unfortunately, of course, for them, no way of making it into the top 2 of this group to make it to the championship. But it's still a good accolade to say we were the best team in August.
Yeah, exactly. Especially this has been a different top 2 from June and July as we take a look at Group B. So I'm excited to see what the picks are going to be because pressure is now on Bal. We'll see what surprise picks they're going to bring out because SMB is now on match point.
Yeah, indeed. Bans did spice up a little bit in the prior game. What's up more in frame? Let me. You'll see me properly now. I can't be the first one to come away. We spoke about that. We spoke about the Ziggs. And sure enough, we're back to seeing that banned away, of course, by SMB. After making good use of it in the previous game. It wasn't exactly massively impactful from what we saw in terms of the individual big plays, but it's just that constant source of damage in the backline, pumping it outright, Riku.
Yeah, I feel like SMB just doesn't want the first pick Ziggs because it's just really hard if you want to pick something that likes to roam the side lanes and you can't exactly leave because the Ziggs can punish you with fast turret takes. But looking at the Camille pick now, they don't want that on Specs' side. He had a phenomenal performance in game number 2. And now look at Bal. They're taking this Xin Zhao pick for themselves. So a Lulu pick could follow through or even a Nash.
Where do they go with this? The Ahri apparently is one of those picks. They take the Pantheon on this side now. They can afford to leave it for a while if they wanted to and prioritize something else, but no. That Pantheon is going to be locked in. Always slightly nervous about a Pantheon into a Xin because of the ultimate on side, the better dueling potential. Darius also locked in for Bal. Loving their draft so far.
Yeah, this could be a repeat result of what we've seen in game number 2. Looking at the Darius pick being unleashed. Looking at Katse over here getting that Kai'Sa pick. And we talked about the awkward level 1s for Renekton. It's all about Lonely Kid surviving that level 1, getting into that level 3. I like this from SMB, pulling out the Lulu away from Bal there. That has been working out so well as a pair with the Xin Zhao. Of course, you want to get that Dominus plus Wild Growth combo as well. And to top Bal's composition, they're going for the Orianna. So big shockwaves, big shields for the Xin Zhao, or possibly for the Darius that will enable these resets for him.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all with how things are set up here. I like the Xayah way of the Lulu, like you mentioned. Even with the Pantheon, it's still going to be a terrifying pick. When he's diving into the backline, of course, with that ultimate, everyone's knocked up around him and still be really, really impactful. However, from what I hear, our game is ready, so let's just get straight into it. Riku, game number 4. Last chance saloon coming through for Bal. Otherwise, Supermassive Blaze walk away as the August finalist winners.
And with their composition right now, it is similar to what they have pulled out in game number 1. It was successful, especially on Bambi's side on that Pantheon, able to find the backline. And now their primary target is going to be Katse's life here on this Kai'Sa. And they have a lot of tools to do so as well. Level 3 for SMB is very strong. You land in the stun coming from Bambi. Nokris will follow up with a charm. So Rift Scuttler fights may ensue in the next few minutes.
I like how Nokris has had a couple of games of being what he probably considers quite passive, right? He played the Gragas in game 1 that they won, Orianna game 2 that they lost, and the Ziggs in the last game he was kind of playing second fiddle to Bambi and the Kai'Sa, just going absolutely crazy. Whereas here on the Ahri, a much more involved role. Great pick potential, stuns being laid in. Let's not forget polymorphs coming out of Lulu. Lots of threat that SMB have on side, especially in the mid game. That's where I want to see Bal be careful. Let's not see them get a little bit too aggressive.
We'll have to see, because that's what their composition calls. For Bal, I feel like it is not exactly the complete opposite, but pieces of it may struggle a little bit in the early game. We're looking for Katse to shine a little bit later as well. So it's all about Spec and Knight to create these active movements and see if they can win the skirmishes in the early game. And of course as well, Gandalf making big shockwave plays perhaps, but so far he's going to take a little bit of that backseat in the early game and provide setups and as well as shields whenever Katse would possibly go Killer Instinct, whenever Knight and Spec would go in.
Just in case you guys didn't catch it, by the way, in case you haven't seen Twitter recently because you've had your eyes glued to the screen, it has been announced on the 24th to the 26th of September, the Origin Series Championships will take place in Stockholm. So please do go and take a look at that announcement as well. You can read all the information in there. Now that we all know what it is these teams are playing for, it's a spot on LAN on the 24th to 26th of September, which again, for these two teams, doesn't really matter now. None of them can make it into that top 2 spot for these teams in Group B, but at least they know now that in future there'll be something more to fight for, and we do, of course, have that incredible LAN to look forward to next month.
That's true. It is, again, proving who the best team is from Group B in the month of August. But now we get to see, look at Nokris and the rest of SMB just diving in, or rather, just trying to conquer the jungle.
Ooh, I mean, they're trying their very best here in the Xin. I don't know about that one. Chief gets a little bit too ballsy for his own good and loses his life as a result. And now it's Bal and the rest of the boys really starting to push their way forward. It's Gandalf and Knight, the ones in the front line, trying to deal with one. They turn it around. They're Lonely Kid in the front line because Guys has arrived off to the side, helping out his guys to try and win this fight. A good bubble coming through. Stun following up on the backside, but I doubt there'll be enough damage there to get this full finish off. Not a bad turnaround because it's SMB taking 2 kills from themselves.
Yeah, we talked about this. Big level 3, big level 5s as well, with the Spirit Rush being into the equation for additional damage, additional mobility to maneuver around the skirmishes that we just saw. Let's take a look at that again with this blue buff. Knight and Gandalf were pretty much far away, and the Shockwave, unfortunately, wasn't there. It unfortunately missed. And Nokris and Bambi were just pretty much waiting for cooldowns, and Knight just tries to push forward, and really nice roam coming from Guys. It was a clutch shield. And therefore, any of Knight's attempt to eliminate Bambi were denied.
shut down pretty rapidly, the way to look at it. Great start coming in for SMB. That 1.2k gold lead starting to build up for them comfortably. And we haven't even got to the point of the first dragon or the herald, which are about to come online in the next 10 seconds. It tells you, by the way, I've just seen the timer. Herald spawns like 0.2 of a second faster than Drake.
Just a delay. Yeah, just a little
Now they're in
teeny tiny
sync.
bit of a delay.
That's weird.
Yeah,
Ooh,
it is in sync.
spooky.
Yeah. But SMB right now going to be starting this. Again, they had full control earlier, so it was pretty hard for Bal to try and contest this one. They're pretty far away. They're a little bit rattled from the previous fight they experienced deep into their jungle. But that means SMB can reset early and then contest for this Rift Herald. That is what a 2-in-1 kind of deal. And we'll see what Bal decides to do as we see Katse and Gariban already roaming top.
All right. Well, towards his Herald now, no doubt surprising that attention turns on up there. I love how once more, by the way, we're seeing the two carries left alone in the bot lane just saying, look, you guys farm up. Not really a problem. You got the Kai'Sa going back, who I imagine wants to, sorry, the Kai'Sa moving back up through the river, who wants to come and join the team up on the top side. The Xayah opted to go back. I have a feel it'll be a little bit too late here, but they might arrive late. Smite's going to come through, stolen away by SMB, or I say stolen, they were the ones on top of it. Potentially the kill onto Spec coming through immediately after. There goes the Ahri zipping in, but straight away into the back line is Katse, isolated on his own inside the pit, but can he pick up the kills that he needs? It looks like they won't be able to. Tolkas the one trying to do some work, Featherstorm coming out, but can they convert this into more kills? It's a 4 versus 3. Katse the one doing work, and the Darius is in. Spin to win, baby. Finds one for himself. Bambi forced to flash away. A team fight win coming out for Bal, who even us out of 3 apiece.
Tolkas, he was feeling it again from game number 3, but unfortunately at this game I felt like he wanted to do a crazy play of a 4-man route. I feel like I would love to explain again once we get to see the replay, but again, Tolkas was late to the fight. He was late to the reset. It was Katse first in that fight. Let's take a look at this again. Really nice tidal wave knight coming from the side with the proto belt and apprehend. And SMB was basically forced to be trapped in this pit. And we get to see Nacres and able to assassinate Katse. That killer instinct with the shield. He's able to finish. Look at Tolkas here. He wanted to make a play after the Featherstorm, flash with the double man route, but it didn't happen. Meanwhile, a fight over here in the river.
Yeah. I mean, Lolika got burnt down on top side, but down bottom, it's not going so well for the side of Bal. A kill being exchanged back onto either side, but SMB walk away with the 2, bringing us up to 5 and 4. Charm lands, nothing really needing to follow up off the back of it, but another good fight coming through. SMB, this time the ones pulling out ahead.
Nicely done, Shockwave. Guys, he's so close. He's so close.
Again, one of those ones that's going to tilt you for a lifetime. Gandalf going low, but equally giving it back as good as he gets it onto Nacres. Both mid laners just walking and backing away. This gold's so close that it's on a nice edge at this point, Riku. It could go the way of either team, it feels like.
Yeah, it's still incredibly close. And I really love this series so far because it has been a constant tug of war of this power between Katse and Tolkas. Either Katse's just being that big legendary quirky, or now in this case, maybe the Kai'Sa. He might balloon up into a scary monster later on, or Tolkas feeling out this Xayah. That's the reason why he decided to pick it up again, because he has an incredible match earlier.
And there's the catch they want as well. Spec trying to do what he can to get away, but his Xin Zhao in this game, even with the support of the would-be, well, not so much Lulu in this case, it's more the Nami, sorry. No real support coming through to keep him alive in these fights, but that was more being caught out than anything else. The Spec, this game not going the way that it did for Bambi previously.
Yeah, this is the Rome Death Squad, even dropping in this Grand Starfall.
Trying to get what they can to force flash away by the fish to back to safety. Staying in the water pond for now, at least not going to find himself drowning out in the cold air. It's the Herald on the bot side, though, that gets that tower down forward. The pressure being built up as Drake is about to spawn in 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's a 2k gold lead with the first blood tower acquired, and as well as the collective kills. SMB has attained. Really nice pickup, Infinity Edge for the first item coming from Tolkas and Double Black Cleaver already for Bambi and Lonely Kid. And really nice loot into the Echo pickup, so good wave clear, and as well as damage contributed to the fights later on. Air Drake now being started by SMB. Vision-wise, Bal only has a measly ward near the mid lane.
And a couple in the pit, but for me, I'm just concerned that if they even try and steal this, we know exactly how things are going to break down for them, so much so that they agree The Xin not even interested in trying to go for a steal, just goes back to taking the Krug to say, look, you want the Cloud Drake, you have the Cloud Drake. No, Biggie Chief, that's good by us. Bambi being engaged on, but there's shields piling up. Still takes a bit of damage, but enough that, of course, he's not going to find himself going anywhere near down. No execute opportunity for Knight coming in.
Yeah, and Bal isn't able to exchange anything off of the map. They weren't even able to push mid lane, even try to push top lane as well. They were trying to find an opportunity if they could contest, but at the end, SMB gets the best deal out of that situation.
Magic. All right, then. More aggression in towards the top side now. Things starting to pile up, and in goes the order as well. They really want to burn down Katse, who did not respect the Croc and his sharp jaws, or the blade, of course, attached to his arm. But it's much more natural to say it's all about the jaws. They get the kill here, 7 and 4 now to SMB, and more map pressure stacking up as they now look to try and start threatening onto this blue buff at the same time.
There's so much space for SMB to work with right now. They're able to open up 2 lanes already, only the mid lane standing, as SMB just creating all these, executing the perfect formula. And let's take a look at that replay once more. It's at the top side. Yeah, it's all caught out here. Katse in the middle, with nowhere, in the middle, caught out in the middle of nowhere. That is the thing that I wanted to say.
Yes, those are the words that I wanted to leave my mouth today. Correct. That was a bit of a wild one because also it was the stun out of the Renekton into the wild growth coming out of the Lulu onto the Renekton to get the knock up as well. The charm coming through from the Ahri. Just no way that he walks away alive in that instant. Casting arrows over on the gold at the bottom side of the screen too as well. 9,000 gold coming in for the Ahri, the Death Cap and Ludens, hitting like an absolute truck at this point in the game, as you come to expect. On the other side, it's not looking so good as a counterbalance. About 1,500 gold down from the Orianna. A very minor deficit coming through in the top lane. Things are just starting to spiral ahead for the side of SMB here. And I'm thinking for Bal, who is going to be that big miracle maker? Because the Orianna needs time to scale up. The Kai'Sa needs time to scale up. The best you can hope for at this point, it feels like, is Knight hits a massive ult in a fight, for example, and catches out someone that's a bit isolated. But that's wishful thinking. I can't see SMB throwing that away.
Yeah, I feel like that is the opportunity that Bal is looking forward to. If SMB has a lot of low health targets, Knight can just kick in with the resets on his ult and see if he can get bounties here and there. But with how the map has been very small for them recently because of SMB's control, we'll see as they find a chance perhaps with the Proto Belt. No, it's Proto Belt gone.
They were just waiting for almost Knight to get baited in there, and sure enough, he stepped forward trying to go for the aggressive grab, but no, forced to flash away back in the opposite direction to get himself to safety as the Pantheon came in, the Ahri came in, did force 2 ults out of them, mind you. The Ahri has not got Spirit Rush, and there is no Grand Skyfall coming through for Bambi either. So, although it's not like super massive, it's still an opportunity they've got to play around with should they choose.
Yeah, that ult, the Spirit Rush, will be available when the next dragon spawns, and it's going to be an Infernal Drake. Bal would love to deny that away from SMB. They already have been painful to begin with, and they're going to get even more painful once SMB secures that for themselves. So Bal would love to establish vision already as there's 30 seconds on the clock with that Infernal Dragon to spawn, as we get to see Spec already making moves with no vision. It's going to be a struggle for Bal to see if they can contest.
Yeah, massive one, but here we go. It's all about the Drake that is about to come online. It's an Infernal about to stack up, potentially being challenged by Bal, but you'd expect SMB to be the ones in a commanding position to take it away. Looking towards Bambi here, that ultimate about to come back online, so maybe he really does want to make a pretty extravagant appearance into the fight. Let's see who he can catch out onto. No vision for either side currently on the Drake. I imagine it'll be SMB who want to step inside the river and start getting that one down. But on both sides, no real rush towards that just yet.
Yeah, so far, it has been that mid lane push. We'll see if SMB will start off with Bambi again into the back lane, but now Infernal Drake being spawned. Again, no vision coming from Bal at the moment, so this is pretty dark.
Indeed, what can they do about it? You got Darius on the bottom side looking to make something happen. It's a good split coming through, but they burn through the front line. Who cares about Xin Zhao? What would Xin Zhao do? He would die. Same story for the Xin and the Darius. No front line now existing for these squishier members. Katse trying to do what he can. Spear comes through. Not quite enough to finish him off, but he is done and dusted. Bambi should be able to close onto him here. Gets the stun, closes him out, goes unstoppable. SMB unstoppable in the game.
Yeah, he is insane right now. That's 3 members down, jungler down. That means SMB will decide to just go for that reset at the moment. and will most likely plant down Vision for the Baron for the next juicy target. Let's take a look at that again. It is unfortunately Spec just exploding from all the damage focus of SMB, and that's just one minus person. Basically, Bal just want to get out of there. Even though Nacris was pretty low, even though a lot of the members coming from SMB were pretty low, Knight wasn't there to get the resets, get those lovely low HP bars. Now, SMB starting to ward and get control on this Baron area.
I feel like that pincer position they tried to employ in that fight is great if you're ahead or even potentially even. But when you need your tanks on the front line to be able to, take the brunt of the damage and not get isolated like they did in that fight, you need to be together there. But I think it was more Knight getting caught on the wrong side of a bad fight, no matter which way you look at it. This Baron now being started up by the side of SMB. You can see 2 or 3 gathered around the pit. The rest is trying to do a bit of zoning work. Darius is in there. Everyone's stacking in. It's all about the Renekton who's alone, gets himself back out, slices and dices his way back in. This could be the ending fight if it goes through Riku. They've burnt their way through 2. They have the Baron on side, and surely now they start looking at some of those towers because, believe it or not, as dominant as they've been this game, they've only got 2 towers so far.
Yeah, they've been getting kills, getting that reset, getting kills, and reset, rinse and repeat. And they have been taking care of this lead so far. But now that they have the Baron, they don't have to be conservative anymore when it comes to trying to siege down this towers. And 14 seconds on the clock, and now the charm doesn't connect.
Oh, the damage on that Q is just disgusting. And Garaban can try and do what he wants, but I don't think he'll walk away the winner. The Rampage coming through. This is what happens, Riku. 3-item Ahri, all 3 of them being potentially max damage impact items, just chewing his way through the enemy team.
Yeah, he's 5-1-8 right now. Nacris is massive. And Gariban couldn't even manage to get the flash and the heal on the board and didn't expect the big damage coming through. And now this is the 1-3-1 that we're taking a look at. Bambi has been getting a lot of these early kills as well. 506, he is massive, and he also has that Guardian Angel, so he will survive in the next fight.
Bambi's just styling on kids throughout the series, it feels like. This time on the Panth, previously on the Xin Zhao. We saw him on Panth in the first game. The second one, not so hot, but this game, a much larger improvement. Nacris, not quite landing a skill shot, but I appreciate the attempt either way, buddy. Top tower going to be the next focus. Will get burnt down. All 3 fall. The question is, do they press on for the end here, or do they back away due to the lack of mana they may have on side? They're going for it. The GA popped on one side. They're being melted down here. Bala fighting back Riku, and everyone turns tail to run. They should be able to get him down. They do finish off the one, but Nacris with 0 mana cannot contribute any more to this fight. SMB lose away, but with 3 inhibitors, there won't be too much to worry about.
Yeah, and Bal survives another day. They're able to scare off SMB from ending that game. And it all started because, SMB felt like they could have finished that game there and then. But, of course, Bal is able to get the resets, or rather, get more items since they've been in resetting more, rather. SMB just wanted to maximize the Baron buff. And Bambi, of course, usually it's a Pantheon. Once you go in, there's really no way out. That's a good shutdown bounty going over to Spec over here that he will welcome. And now it is the Elder Drake that is going to be spawning soon. So Bal will have to see if they have space enough to contest this one. Because look, Lonely Kid is busy split pushing at top.
May not be a bad shout then for SMB to go for it, unless he could try and push for the win, but there's no real minions on side. They got wards down to make it happen, but here comes the ult from Bambi. Who can they burn through is the next big question. The Darius and the Pantheon on one side, but it's the Ahri just tearing the team apart. This 15,000 gold Fox is doing absolute work. They've rinsed their way through Bal, and surely the only thing on their minds is going to be the Nexus, the series win, and the August finals win. Only 1 or 2 left to defend, and they can't do anything about this. The Croc steps up, as does Feather Girl. Down goes the Nexus. SMB win the August finals.
And they finish off with a 3-1 fashion. Supermassive had an incredible journey, beating Unicorns of Love, Footballists on the way here, and now winning the August finals for Group B.
They've done some real magic there is the only real way that I can look at it. Whew, scary. Let's take a look back at some of the highlights as we talk a little bit more about this series, Riku, because again, for me, Bambi in 3 of these maps been absolutely huge, although we've also seen those performances coming in from Tolkos. We've seen Nacris stepping up as well. A brilliant series overall from SMB.
Yeah, early game, it has been the battle of Bambi versus Spec, who's able to get these objectives down, secure them unfazed whenever a star call, a grand starfall would happen. And it has been really lovely to watch so far. And of course, at the later stages of the game, it has been what? Tolkas versus Katse. There was a game where Katse was just really doing a lot of work as the Kaisa or the Corki. And it is one of those things where you got Nacris involved now in the equation. Not going to be utility, not going to be the Gragas, not going to be, again, that tank, that Orianna. But this time around, just as you mentioned, Dezichu, someone who's more involved, like the Ahri, to open up these opportunities with the charm and the combo with the stuns coming from Bambi.
It's one of those you look at and just think a couple of close moments for Bal as the games went by. That second game, much better, admittedly on the back of Katse for much of it. The rest of the team, it didn't feel like super impactful. And, you know, we were constantly praising members of SMB. Guys, one player that I do really want to shout out. It's not often you get to shout out support players, but his Nami play was almost impeccable, even in the game that they were losing in game number 2. Outside of that, it was all about the face roll coming in from the various members on SMB to make this a real team effort to get over the finish line. Definitely an unexpected winner when we came into the start of this competition, but enough clearly to make this one work.
Yeah, exactly. It looked a little bit dicey at first because, again, Katse was able to get early kills in this game, but it doesn't change the fact that Bambi with Nacris and the roams coming from Guys, most importantly, was able to open up these opportunities for them to snowball, get Nacris on the board, get Bambi on the board. And after that, it was basically Val having a difficult time with no answer whatsoever on how they can deal with the Ahri and the Bambi. And Ahri and the Bambi, or rather, and the Pantheon as well.
Ahri and the Bambi sounds like a weird film name in a way, doesn't it? Yeah, not quite the case here. I mean, it's worth mentioning again, although these were arguably the strongest 2 teams of the month, UOL with their round 2 knockout that shocked everyone. Na'Vi not getting particularly far through the bracket, although they are the 2 teams that make it through to that LAN in Stockholm next month. Again, if you haven't seen the details on that, do go and check out the Wild Rift Twitter. You'll see all the information about it on there. There's a nice little blog post up there summarizing what to expect, but it is UOL and Na'Vi from this group. Supermassive Blaze, I think, almost making a name for themselves as well, because there were a couple of scenarios where they could have been the team to make it out, and that would have been terrifying if you're UOL or Na'Vi, knowing that you've basically lost out on the final day.
Yeah, exactly. Their journey for this August has shown how much they have improved as a team, and it's really, really beautiful to watch. Again, I think Group B has been, again, I say it again, it has been very sporadic because you see June and July, you got Unicorns of Love winning that June and July, but at the same time, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th placers were pretty much different teams across those 2 months, and now we have a different champion coming in. It is Supermassive Blaze, and it's really, really nice to see their journey as well as their improvements as a team.
I'd be really excited to see if they do come out for the next Origin series. That would be amazing to see them come up there and challenge the big names, because yeah, I think everyone else came into this group at the very start of the Origin series saying, realistically, you're going to see UOL, you're going to see Na'Vi making it out, and there are no other competitors really in this. But I'm glad that we've seen that coming through from a team, so hopefully next time around, things continue with the excitement. We do have an interview coming up in just a moment as well with a member of Supermassive Blaze. I believe the top laner in Lonely Kid is going to join us, so we'll look out for that in just a couple of moments. But any closing thoughts you've got on Group B from what we've seen from them today, over this week so far, and potentially even leaning as far back as, say, June and July?
Well, for me, I really love how it is still the rise of the Xin Zhao. I feel like the theme from last month was Xin Zhao flexing from top and then as well as in the jungle. But this time, it has been the Pantheon versus the Xin Zhao, and who was able to get the early lead and is able to get that snowball to, you know, propel the side lanes and as well as your mid laner, depending as what we saw with Nacris there as that Ahri. So I really love how, you know, Xin Zhao Pantheon are very popular in this region.
Awesome. Well, we've got Lonely Kid here for an interview, so let's pull him in now to have a quick chat. Hello there, Mr. Lonely Kid. Wonderful game coming out from you guys. Congratulations on the victory. What does it mean to you guys to win the August finals? I assume you can hear us. Maybe not. I'm guessing you can't hear us. Unfortunate. Can you hear us, Lonely Kid? I'm guessing he can't. We tried this yesterday. It didn't work out. Group B just really don't want to talk to us lately. It's a really weird one. Brings a tear to my eyes. Quite sad. I'll tell you what, I'll go wipe my tears away. Wonderful games that we've just had in Group B. Group A is coming up next. Stick around and we'll see you guys soon.
this is the last day, of course, for our Origin series. You'll be a casters for the second and last series for the day. I'm Yuko alongside Miss Xcoundrel.
Hi, Yuko. Nice to see you again. Really excited to get into this final series. It is an old favorite of the European scene. X-Tribe EU, now NTNT, versus going up against Team Queso. I think, unarguably, these are the two best teams that we have in our region right now. Team Queso just definitely winning out a kind of edge over Gamelord, especially yesterday, which is very important, I think, just in terms of their confidence in the European scene. But NTNT, I think, undoubtedly right now are the team to beat.
Yeah, yesterday even in the player VODs, we see a lot of players actually have a lot of respect for No Team, No Talent. But then again, this is a best of 5. So question is, who will win and will we see 5 games?
Let's see how the first game goes. I'll give you your answer after the first game.
Alrighty, so of course, without further ado, let's hop into the pick and ban phase. I'm waiting for Xcoundrel prediction then and there. So Lee Sin could be a ban. A lot of teams are also banning out Xin Zhao, but now we have a Gragas, not a Gragas, a Varus ban for No Team, No Talent.
Yeah, that's a pretty common ban at high elo in Europe, especially. I think a lot of European AD carries see Varus as one of the most powerful AD carries, especially when you have things like Camille banned and Akali being a perma ban. So a lot of the answers to Varus are kind of like popular bans right now, which is why Varus has now kind of become a popular ban in his own right. Senna in competitive because of the prevalence of fasting Senna and just how powerful that is in coordinated team play, and obviously Ziggs continues to be probably the most banned champion in Wild Rift Esports since its very inception. And as you correctly called it, Yuko, Doom is having that Xin Zhao banned away from him.
So like the usual top picks will not be available, but that leaves Corki, Gragas, Camille open. No Team, No Talent. They want to have their hands on this Corki. Could be in the mid lane, could be in the jungle lane, and right on cue, Camille for Team Queso.
Team Queso, look, there is a common kind of like talking point about Team Queso in high elo in Europe right now, and it's that they play the same drafts every single game. I can tell you what their mid lane is going to be already. It's going to be Ahri, and that sort of top lane trio of Camille, Kha'Zix, Ahri is a very, very, very common pickup for Team Queso. It worked for them yesterday versus Gamelord. They're obviously coming in to NTNT with the same mindset. These are basically what I would consider the one-trick champions of Acolyte, Andre, and Ruiz, and I think they're very happy to lock that in. Memorized played the most Rakan out of any support that he has played in competitive, so that's no surprise there. With Xayah not on the table, I mean, I would be thinking Xayah. This would be the classic Team Queso draft if this was Xayah, and obviously with Rakan you'd expect that. But that is Doom's Riven jungle. I think this is Doom's Riven jungle here, which is going to be very interesting.
Of course, and Xcoundrel is from the future. He perfectly called the draft for Team K. So he did say, the data do not lie. It will be an AD solution for their side. So that is gonna be the pick and bans for game number 1. I know you guys are excited. So let's scooch over to game number 1.
Oh, it is Riven Jungle, Yuko. I have not seen this much in competitive, but I know, having played with Doom in solo queue, this is something that he really does like to play. What I think is going to work here for NT versus Team Queso that didn't really work for Gamelord previously was the fact that I don't really think that Random was able to take advantage of this Fiora Camille matchup the way that you should be able to. I really feel like Leon, who is an absolute Fiora mentalist, like he's so good at Fiora, I think he'll be able to exploit this matchup a little bit more heavily. In this Snitch, he's just playing a very safe mid laner, can't get easily caught out by the Ahri. You always have that backup of the Valkyrie to keep you out of those rough situations. So I think right now in every lane, NTNT are pretty set versus the comfort that Team Queso have brought to the table.
That I would have to agree with. As you can see, they just really read the draft like a book. And now it is going to be the standard start for NTNT. You mentioned this with your cast with Deza 2. Leon, arguably one of the best Baron laners, if not the best here in Europe. So let's see how well will he be able to play this Fiora.
It's an easier matchup against the Camille for a couple of reasons. You outrange her with your lunge. In fact, Fiora outranges pretty much everybody with her lunge. And secondly, when she uses her Hextech Ultimatum, you can actually just riposte it. So you completely negate her ultimate with just your second ability, which is pretty ridiculous. And so it's a very easy way to actually deal with Fiora in the side lane matchup. Plus, Fiora scales just as hard as Camille does in that side lane matchup, and so the 1v1 always stays in favor of Fiora.
some pokes here and there coming through from Lucian and Rakan. Rakan did use the Grand Entrance earlier, but no actual commitments from NTNT just yet. Kha'Zix is nowhere near the Dragon Lane as well, but looking at the top part, Doom will just be able to get his buff. And consistently, ever since we hopped into game number 1, Leon has been just harassing Acolyte on this Camille with the reasons that Expoundry already told us. Now, looking into the mid lane, Snitch is going to be A-okay as well. No actual invades, no jungle takedowns, just the usual early game, focus on farming, and maybe pick a fight once the dragon is up.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about, obviously, when you have a bot lane Ezreal, you don't really want to fight until Ezreal's found that first back. And so obviously they're going to be a little bit quiet until Ezreal gets the chance to back and pick up his first item, or at least just even the Sheen, as that gives him a bit more trading power, a bit more, I guess, aggression in some of these matchups. You can see here, this is what you're expected to do in this matchup, by the way, between Fiora and Camille. Just dive in, using that Grasp of the Undying to get constant procs with your lunge. You can see that Andre has come. And the reason Andre is here is to try and unfreeze the wave, but they're going in.
That is going to be Doom on the front line. That is the stuns connecting, and you have the Hex Nothing being popped in there. Doom jumping in, but was not able to reach Andre. Now, right after that hook shot, Team Queso will just be able to disengage, get away. But Doom, he wants more blood. Will he cancel the recall? No, he will not. Instead, he has his eyes fixed on Andre. First blood going over to No Team, No Talent, and that is going to be Doom. Will you be able to survive? That is going to be a no. Rakan using the charm just to secure that kill.
Yeah, but they're going to go for a dive here on Ibu, and I think Friend will pick him off with the True Shot Barrage. And that is an easy punish on a roam from the support there. So a net positive for NTNT. I have questions. Why Andre decided to stay around? I guess he was potentially trying to guard against that tower dive against Acolyte, but he just ended up giving up his life to allow Acolyte to back. But I think they could have easily both backed off quickly there. Doom was kind of slow to commit to that kind of play. But that is a nice little lead here for Doom. You can see 300 gold or so going in his favor, and a load of gold in favor of the Ezreal on the bot side of the map here. We'll take a look back at this. You can see at level 5, Riven just incredibly strong as a duelist, especially when you're grouped up. You really nullify the power of Kha'Zix. And in a 2v2 in this matchup, there isn't really much that Kha'Zix is going to do that Riven cannot do better. And Doom here just able to get onto Andre, who's already burnt those resources to escape. Doom knows he's dead, by the way. I don't think he wants to give the kill to the Ahri, who ends up roaming up, which is why he walks back into tower. Very sensible decision, if you ask me. And now Leon going toe-to-toe.
Leon will try to go up against, of course, Acolyte, but up against Andre, but that is not going to come through. Also, that is going to be the Barrage connecting onto 3, and the explosive cast connecting onto 2, and the kill going over to Gragas. Here comes the other members of Team Queso. Blue Team will be able to get the Mountain Dragon. Now you have the Gatling being used by Stitch. He does use Valkyrie. Focused onto Lucian. Lucian gets bursted down. Now you have Ezreal deciding to join the party. Rakan saying goodbye as well. And that is going to be the Rift Herald and Mountain Drake going over to No Team, No Talent. Need I tell you, while you were doing the analysis in the Baron Lane skirmish, Snitch actually got taken down by Ahri. So it was a quick revenge kill in the Rift Herald pit.
Yeah, and honestly, really good package from Snitch as well. Not only did it make it very difficult, let's take a look back at it again once more. This is Leon just doing Leon things, taking 1v1s where he may not actually necessarily have the edge. It does end up going down. As you said, though, great True Shot Barrage, explosive class combo. Like Andre was definitely flirting with death right here at such low HP. And that was a good trade back by Clue. But you really want to keep your eyes on Snitch's package positioning here. Loads of damage onto Ibu. Ibu moves into a choke point. Snitch sees his opportunity, takes him down, and Memorized, who was trying to support his AD carry, had nowhere to go but sitting on top of that package, and unfortunately just meant that he was going to go down too. So just a good package positioning there to split that team up from Snitch, and that gets him a couple of kills, as you said, just before he went down to Ruiz.
Mystic Shot really hurting a lot. That is going to be a jump and flash in body slam. And now you have Friend being able to finish off the kill. Ruiz no longer had the Spirit Rush. He does have flash, but was not able to react in time up against 2. That is going to be the kill going over to Ezreal. And maybe they could even get the tower.
Definitely have no one there to support or protect this tower right now. Ruiz is already back on the map and is making his way down. As you said, that Spirit Rush not available, though. We are going to see Memorized and Ibu slowly walk down, but I think you're right. This could be first tower of the game, dropping in favor of NTNT. Doom now with that ultimate engaged.
He just went right through Andre. Now you have the Hex being popped. The SBPR saying goodbye, but SB Andre jumping in, flashing in Doom. Will he be able to get away? Yes, no, maybe. Kazik still can jump, but looks like he is just gonna focus on trying to push Doom away. Overall, it was a 1-to-1 trade. The Baron laners just taking themselves down.
Yeah, Leon didn't have the riposte for that Hextech Ultimatum, and obviously Hextech Ultimatum is a great way of just buying some invincibility frames for Acolyte, which then allows him to kind of negate any damage and keep himself alive for just that moment longer, allowing the tower to do the work. We can take a look here. Leon, you can just see how powerful Fiora is in this matchup in the 1v1, and how low Acolyte is here. Doom maybe could have got away with it with the Wind Slash, but watch this. Leon tanking the tower, doesn't have that riposte available, and Hextech Ultimatum buys enough time for Acolyte to negate enough damage. Doom keeps his cool. I really like this here. Uses 2 charges of his first ability, then dives over the wall on his last one. Just keeping that slight cool head to know that he hasn't got that the ability to get away. Oh my word, friend, almost dying out here.
That was so close. At the very least, Ezreal was able to pop the barrier at the perfect time. Now Andre being able to give that. It's gonna be the protocol coming through. Charms, Orb, but they don't care. That is still gonna be the kill going over to No Team, No Talent. They could hunt for more. Snitch is there at the sides, but no, they will not try to press their luck. They are just gonna rotate over to the mid lane.
We have some objectives spawning relatively soon. Most of them are gone in favor of No Team, No Talent right now. Doom still holding onto that Rift Herald, but this may be the opportunity that he looks to drop it. They're going to get at least a little bit of damage down into this mid lane tier 1. Doom backing off, though, maybe makes me feel that will be a Rift Herald drop to secure some natural priority for that second dragon. We talk about this a lot. It's just about creating some natural pressure in the lane that kind of draws Team Queso away from that dragon pit, and especially as that package is now up for Snitch, the special delivery, I don't really think Team Queso are going to want to lose their lives over a Wind Dragon.
Snitch and Clue are actually the 2 champion unit that was lurking towards the dragon lane. Now that is going to be the Rift Herald being summoned at the mid lane. Spirit Rush is not yet available for Ruiz. At the very least, they have the quickness from Makan if ever No Team, No Talent decides to do something funny. Rift Herald, of course, will focus on the mid lane turret. Now you have Snitch, you also have Doom just focusing on the dragon that's up. Jusha Barrage will connect on to none. That is going to be Andre being able to jump away. Will he be able to juggle the 2v1? Actually make that a 2v2 now. You have the Tactical Sweep coming through. This is Clue at the front line. The ultimate being used. That is going to be your Khan jumping in, flashing in, being able to take Leon down. Now you have Clue, the only one left alive. Will he get the kill? Yes, no, maybe the Tactical Sweep is going to come through. But looking here at the mid lane, the charm will not connect. The calling has been popped. Now you have No Team, No Talent still holding their ground. They decide to disengage and maybe rotate over to the Baron lane or just get the scutter.
They are going to be rotating, though. It does look like Friend is hovering to look for a kill.
Oh! And that will not stop anytime soon. That's going to be a 3v2. That is Rakan trying to use the Grand Entrance to make a way, but no. True-Shot Barrage, the global ultimate will take him down.
That was a beautiful little Mystic shot on the fadeaway there to Acolyte. Honestly, Friend, he's been kind of putting NTNT on his back. I wouldn't say that the rest of the team has been having a bad game, but honestly, Friend's been having a great game. Leon actually 0-3-2. We hyped him up a lot. He actually hasn't got an insane score, but what he is doing is he's drawing a lot of pressure. I mean, Leon naturally draws pressure by the very sake of being Leon, though. It looks like both Snitch and Doom will be able to escape here. Snitch on very low mana, knows that he can't really take this fight right now. And that'll be NT resetting with a 6,000 gold lead in their favor. They're in a relatively good spot.
They are. And Baron is up now. Team Queso, they could just group together. Hook shot, yes, will connect. But again, the Trisha Barrage hurting a lot. Now you have the vital points being Frog, and Camille just gets annihilated in the dragon lane. Here comes Ari. Jump in, dashing, beautiful flash onto the side. Friend being able to get a kill. The calling has been used. Will it be enough? Now you have this champion trying to get away. That is to be a double kill going over to Ezreal. Lucian say goodbye. Double kill going over to Lucian as well. Now will this 1v1 happen? That is going to be a no. Andre decides to back away, a shot down on Ezreal, and while there was a lot of skirmish in the dragon lane, Snitch and Doom focusing onto the Baron.
They are going all in on this Baron, but Andre knows what's going on. He's looking for a potential steal. Clue trying to buy some time here.
That is going to be the body slam connecting onto one, and killing spree going over to Snitch. Really quick take for No Team, No Talent. Missiles are being drawn out, and it is going to be the Baron going over to No Team, No Talent. Ruiz a tad bit too late to the party, so they will just disengage.
Absolutely insane. Like 2v4 in the bot lane, by the way, from Friend and Leon. They killed 4 people and only 2 from NTNT died. Leon got a huge injection of gold from that, and we are 6-1 and 5. Let's take a look back at that little replay here. Again, Acolyte caught out, or Leon blocks the second part of the hook shot there to prevent the escape, gets the proc on the ultimate to buy him some much needed health and regeneration, and just look at Friend's damage. Leon as well, able to block that charm. Blocking the charm from the Rakan with the riposte, gets another setup on the kill, and of course Friend isolating himself here will end up going down, but it is a double kill for Leon and a double kill for Friend. And in the meantime, as we know, that did allow for this Baron to go down for NTNT, so a huge amount of pressure in the side lane immediately capitalized on in the cross map.
Oh, okay. While you were talking, SCB Lucian being taken down. Now you have, of course, the next target going over to Team Queso. But here comes Niche with the Valkyrie. Leon saying goodbye. Rampage going over to this Corki. They see the charms coming through, but he is still being jumped in. Rakan saying goodbye, but looking at the base of Team Queso. Goodness me. Doom was right there. Prado belt in, but it's not going to be enough to reach this ribbon.
No, and they've hit. Oh, yep. They're going to take down that top lane inhibitor tower with ease right now. And obviously Doom still pushing in with that Baron minion wave. Baron minions at this stage in the game, Yuko, they can get you so much because you don't have the item spikes to be able to clear effectively, because you can't be taking those fights versus NTNT right now. They are just getting free towers in every lane. And I just feel for Queso, I don't think they can defend this.
I really think they can too. But looking into, again, that very small fight at the Baron lane side.
Yeah, you can see that was just Leon looking for one of those crazy 1v2 plays that he always goes for. I like to say that Leon is the ultimate backing himself player. Will always back himself to get a kill in one of these kind of massive outplay scenarios. And you can see also a perfect example of why you pick Gragas as a support into Rakan. When Rakan using that ultimate, he just unfortunately gets bopped by the belly and can't really make anything happen. That's going to be a free Infernal. Nothing that Queso could do about it as NTNT start to push in that bot lane. Couple of little taps from Friend, and you'll see that bot lane inhibitor tower dropping.
20 and 8 on the scoreboard. Now you have no team, no talent storming into Team Queso's base. As he Snitch throwing out a missile in that previous fight. Camille did use her Hextech ultimatum, but instead she still gets taken down by Klook. That is with the calling being pop. Leon looking for his next possible target. There is a ward in the base of Team Queso. They only have one turret left. Lucian is going to focus onto this Fiora, but she's very, very slippery. That is the barrage connecting onto one. Barely made it out of there alive. That is going to be Gags to the front line. Team Queso, are they trying to delay the inevitable? But now no team, no talent. Still trying to go all in. Stuns coming through. Connecting. Rampage onto Gragas. It is going to be the Gatling being popped by Corki, but still on the front line. Doom being able to stun 2-3 champions. And they're saying goodbye. And now Team Queso, they actually are down on 3 champions, whereas no team, no talent. All 5 of them are focused on the next. So the ultimate will not be enough. Yet the cast being thrown out. They want to end the game. Rampage going over to Doom, and that is going to be game 1 going over to NT.
Brilliant stuff from No Team, No Talent. I think they made it look easy. I think one of the biggest weaknesses that Queso have got is that they are very predictable. If I can predict what they're going to draft, you bet that No Team, No Talent know exactly what's coming their way in that draft phase. And I think, obviously, they had a clear plan on how to deal with it. Leon just able to find the edge in the side lane. Doom kind of shadowing Andre, tracking him in the jungle, and the rest of the team Friend having an excellent game this time round as well. I think they just had the right answers to what Team Queso are bringing to the table. And that now throws up the question, is the second game going to feature the same? Are Queso going to have to shift it up and try to go out of that comfort zone to take No Team and No Talent on?
I feel like they should, because as you can see in game number 1, No Team, No Talent, they had this perfect plan. They turtled it out and eventually was able to get that victory. But for now, Xrandel, I believe you have a clip for us.
Yeah, I think it was the most interesting clip from the game, and it is going to be that that bot lane 2v4 that allowed Doom to go for the Baron. You can see Doom is positioned on the minimap near the Baron here, so he's obviously on this side of the map. The rest of Team Queso will be collapsing this way on the map. They'll basically commit everything to this fight. Now, a couple of key things to look out for. Watch what Leon does in just a moment. Gets right in front of Acolyte, stops that second part of the hook shot, which makes it much easier for Leon to then proc his ultimate and go for the kill. Easy, doesn't even need to get all 4 vitals, and he gets a huge amount of healing up here again. You can see Friend just picking up, like that's one Mystic Shot, Essence Flux combo, and Ruiz just lost half his HP in a second. So he's already basically dead. Beautiful little shift from Friend over the wall. And here's another really important part of the fight. Watch Leon's riposte here. Riposte straight into memorized Charm. So Charm has come through from Memorize, but he's going to go straight into the riposte, which stuns Memorize up, as you can see, takes him down easily, and then Ibu makes himself a target for Friend to go in. And yes, okay, we see Andre get the kill at the end of the day, but the most important part is what's going on over here. Both Snitch and Doom are currently taking the Baron, and that is essentially a really nice piece of micro play where there were lots of little individual outplays that went in the favor of NTNT, but also, you know, that macro element to it as well. That's the classic. That is what split pushing is supposed to achieve. You split push, you draw attention to you, your team does something else. But NTNT took it to the extreme where they had 2 members of their team doing the Baron and 3 members of their team doing the split pushing. But at the end of the day, that was a nice example of what you expect to see from a classic split push strategy.
To think that was a 2v3, even though the both of them died, I think it was a little win for NTNT. And on top of that, again, that was the Baron being secured, even though Ruiz and even Andre tried to take a peek into the Baron to maybe try and go with the steal. It definitely was not enough. But yeah, win conditions being checked by No Team, No Talent. Really curious to see what is going to happen in game number 2. But I do think Team Queso, maybe they could or they should just try something new, because we do not want another. No Team, No Talent was able to read through their draft, and that Fiora play was very much on point. And Ezreal being very slippery, I think that is going to be a problem. The fact that he was barely touched in that game speaks volumes.
I think if you're playing Kha'Zix and Ahri, then yeah, it's you're asking for a good Ezreal pick.
That is true. But yeah, now we are just waiting for the players. To all of the fans out there, do not worry, we are ready for game number 2. First game going over to No Team, No Talent. But do not fret, Team Queso, I'm sure they have something up their sleeves. What is it though? I have no idea, but that is what game 2 is all about. You'll still be your casters. I'm Yuko, and alongside me is Xscoundrel. Still, there won't be any switch, but what do you think should Team Queso do?
I don't know. That's you don't ban Riven jungle, right? I wouldn't say that Riven is a particularly strong pick. I think for Team Queso, you need to ask yourself the question whether you think that you can get wins versus a team like NTNT with your comfort. And if you have to honestly ask yourself the question, maybe you test it out for a second game and just see how it goes. I don't think, you have more, you can, reverse sweeps can happen. You have that leeway in a best of 5. I think you could just go for that comfort again. It worked versus Game Lord. But if you lose again here, that's where you probably need to think about shifting things up. Let's see what happens though, obviously, when we get to pick and ban.
And speaking of pick and ban, it is already on the go. Let's hop into it. All right, so Riven does not deserve a ban. Let's see what champion will Team Queso ban out. I mean, they could ban out Fiora or take it for themselves. Maybe we'll still be seeing a Kha'Zix pickup. Akali will be the first ban for Team Queso side. No Team, No Talent, still gonna focus on getting that Ziggs. They do not want any quick or fast games so far.
Yeah, of course we have the side switch here. So blue side does allow you to get a first pick that you think is particularly important. It was a Corki for No Team, No Talent last time, even though I think that the Corki was one of the picks that was more in the background of that game. It was a very safe and flexible pick. You did mention obviously can go to mid lane or dragon lane, so the flexibility of that pick was important. I love that they're banning away Ibu's Kai'Sa as well. That was something that he relied heavily on yesterday, and they are actually going to take the Fiora for Acolyte this time round. Fiora, classically known to have very few bad matchups in the Baron lane. She's one of those picks that has a universal good matchups across the board, realistically. Gragas is certainly one of those good matchups, so I'm interested to see where that might go to in NTNT. But with Doom's Xin Zhao open, that will get locked in.
Well, Gragas and Xin Zhao, now you have 2 disengagers for No Team, No Talent. Team Queso, if they try to build a full-on 5v5, they may struggle. Camille being picked up, and now Team Queso will also pick up the Ezreal. Let's see if we're going to be seeing a Rakan, or are we going to be seeing something more different? Maybe a Seraphine, Braum, the usual. But No Team, No Talent picking up this Sona and Seraphine.
Yes, it's something that worked really well for them on the first day that we were casting, and it is I think they locked it in because they saw the Ezreal. They know that Ezreal does not have a lot of lane pressure before his first back, so Ezreal usually starts off with a mana crystal, which makes him one of the weaker early game trading AD carries, and they are saying, fine, if we can get to level 5 without being threatened in lane, we're playing Sona Seraphine 100%, and it'll be Leon's Lee Sin locked in. I actually think Lee Sin is the best possible matchup into Fiora, and it's only because Leon is one of the very few Baron laners in Europe that plays this effectively. So I think it's one of those pocket picks that he has into that Fiora matchup that works well.
Will we see a Lee Sin popping off in the early game, or will we see Ezreal surviving despite being up against Sona and Seraphine? All of these questions will be answered as we jump into game number 2.
I think Sona Seraphine, to answer your question, is just too strong, realistically, for the most part. It is a ridiculous bot lane duo combo that honestly scales up incredibly well. And provides so much teamfight presence as well with the rest of this comp. You can see potential late invade here from Doom and Leon, but they aren't going to push much further onto Acolyte. They're going to peel back and go for their own red.
Some pokes here and there, but at the very least, Acolyte was able to spot them out quickly. You have the vital points being seen as well. That is going to be Ruiz and Snitch. Snitch will have his hands on this Gragas. Just a few pops here and there with the barrel, but looking into the Dragon Lane. Again, we talked about this. So much poke, so much power from the Sona and Sarah duo. Ezreal will definitely have a difficult time. What he needs to do, though, is do his best to just survive the laning phase, the early game, and maybe even the first half of the mid game.
I think you just want to, like you said, you just want to get through this early game as Sona Seraphine. I think with the Nami, that is something that you do need to be a little concerned about. As long as you're dodging out those bubbles, like Nami can be quite an aggressive trading support in the bot lane and can kind of help facilitate some of Ezreal's early game weaknesses, especially if you're empowering those Mystic shots, they can hurt quite a lot. But you can just see the sustain in this lane is pretty nutty, and Friend and Clue happily just absorbing that pressure.
It is, and I also think that they have a lot of heals and movement speed boost. They will have the time of their life. But you know what? Leon is also having the time of his life. He will be able to pressure Acolyte and just push him back into the turret range, but that is going to be the riposte coming through. Leon will still be very much okay. That is going to jump into the mid lane, though. Let's see what is going to happen. He's being boxed in, jump out, but as the Snitch jumping in, you also have the first one being secured by the blue side. Shinjo saying goodbye. Now Snitch is the next one. Will Andre be able to get the kill? That is going to be a no. Leon does jump in, immediately targets Acolyte. That is going to be Clue at the front line. Sona with the heals and the, of course, sustain and extra damage right there, but that is going to be Nami saying hi and hello with the ebb and flow. The bubble will not connect, and now both teams will just disengage.
That was very risky for Clue to jump in there, but had that heal available just to keep Leon in that fight. It was moments or minutes away from just dropping down Leon there against Acolyte. You don't really want to give Fiora an edge in this matchup. It is a very volatile matchup, the Lee Sin Fiora match. But I like this again. This is classic Tribe. Whenever they find an opportunity, just trying to punish in the 2v1. And they managed to get Ibu down very low. But yeah, I think you have to be very concerned if you're Leon and Clue, because Leon in the top lane, because if you give that Fiora anything in this matchup, it can very easily go the wrong way.
Snitch being locked in that Hextech ultimatum, but looks like they really want to focus on this Gragas, but he is still alive. However, the Diana will be able to get him down. That is going to be the move coming through, and 2 kills going over to Team K. So looking here on the other part, on the other side of the map though, Bubble still not connecting. Ibu will be able to use that Trucial Barrage, and Clue will just cancel his recall. Now that's going to be Friend trying to focus on to memorize. Beat Drop is going to connect. Heals for days. Yet again, looks like no team, no talent. Dragon Lane duo will hold out just fine, even though slowly scaling with this Ezreal.
Yeah, but also you scale. I think you scale better as Sona Seraphine. I think Sona Seraphine is one of the best scaling duos in the game. I like Snitch. It's one of the reasons you pick the Gragas into the Camille is to be able to disengage from that Hextech ultimatum. But unfortunately, Doom and Snitch losing out in this 2v2 time and time again. And those level 5s were there for both Andre and for Ruiz that allowed them to just get the slight edge in that 2v2. Right now, though, this is exactly what you want if you're Team Queso. You want want to be able to put the pressure on early. You don't want to let Sona Seraphine get away with this for free. And so you can see that any kind of early advantage that you can leverage in your favor will give Team Queso a bit of a lifeline when working towards the mid game, where they're going to hope to potentially strike against the team's NTNT before NTNT get too carried away and get towards that late game.
Took us for comfort in Ruiz there for the Dragon Link side, but he was able to survive that one. Now, Rip Herald as well as the Infernal Drake is now up. Both teams will try to go and get that Dragon. That is going to be the Onker connecting onto 1-9, but that is the Crescendo connecting onto 2. Team Queso, 2 ultimates already being burned down. That is the Suddenly connecting onto 3. You have the stuns coming through. Morpho connecting onto 2. That is the tactical being used as well. Shinjo saying goodbye. Beat-Drop connecting onto 2. That is the Gragas lurking into the side. So far, it is a 1-0 in the favor of Team Queso. Here comes No Team, No Talent. Jump in, but looks like Leon will just disengage. That is going to be the upper person connecting. Stuns coming through. Kite still all over the map. Now you have Leon saying goodbye. You have the heals from Sona. Diana being bursted down. Now you have No Team, No Talent. They want to get their next target. B-Drop is not going to connect. Here comes the hook shot, but looks like that is going to be Andre deciding to disengage.
Yeah, but it's not a problem. They weren't after anything other than the Infernal Drake here. They did not want the kills. They just wanted to delay the backs as long as possible to get Doom back towards that Dragon Pit. It does mean that we'll end up trading Rift Herald for Infernal, but I think you take that as NTNT. You are happy to have the Infernal Drake. It gives you some scaling advantage again. Not that you really needed it, but even more than that, it delays the scaling of Team Queso, stops Team Queso being able to accelerate in this mid game. Leon has been a bit of a target here, and we've got 3 members from Team Queso grouping up, I think, looking for that first tower of the game.
That is the Leon jumping in. You also have Doom lurking to the sides. 2v3 who will be able to survive. That is going to be a hook shot away. Just Doom throwing out his spear, and looks like Team Queso will just back away. I think they actually saw Sona even. Triforce has been completed by Andre. Jumping back into the mid lane, you have Ibu and of course Snitch, just with their small highs and hellos.
You just take a look here. Unfortunately, Doom just not enough in position, or his team weren't around him. They were in a 5 versus 4, and I think for the most part, when those Sona and Seraphine ultimates are down, there is not much that you can do if you're NTNT. Leon was not there at the start of the fight, which just meant that the man disadvantage, it was enough to get sort of play, or force NTNT rather to play a more safe team fight. But again, they weren't really after the kills here. They really just wanted to delay those backs. They wanted to stop the backs happening so that Infernal Drake could be taken, and it was.
I think that was mission accomplished. Now you have the... Okay, I thought they were going to jump in, but let's see the Reach just throwing out his Crescent. Now you have the Tidal Wave available if ever they want to pick a fight here. Acolyte though, away from where Leon is, looking at the mid lane. You have Camille, you also have Xin Zhao just pushing the waves in. Recalls will come through for No Team, No Talent. Leon focusing onto the turret, and he will just fall back. He sensed Acolyte's presence.
Yeah, he kind of knew Acolyte was coming. It's a bit of a close affair for first turret of the game here on the top side of the map. Take a look here, Leon. I think did he find the kill? He found the kill in the 1v1. That is spicy stuff. Didn't get enough time on the tower to take it down, though, and I think it should be an easy tower take with the Camille and Fiora on the top side of the map. They do get it, but we haven't engaged from Doom.
Tactical sweep again. Now you have Leon jumping in. That is even the Hex ultimate being popped as well. You have Clue jumping in, flashing in. Camille saying goodbye. Now you have the time to be connecting onto 1. The Grand Challenge has been popped. You still have Fren at the back line. He does have Encore. Let's see if he is gonna commit. Now NTNT, they are looking for the kill. GA already available for Leon, so he has that leeway if ever he is at the front line. But looks like Memorize will just stay under turret unless he gets caught up by No Team, No Talent. Now a flash in to make sure he will not get taken down, which leaves the mid lane turret vulnerable. Except cast has been popped by Snitch just to push Ruiz back. The bubble is going to connect for members of No Team, No Talent jumping back.
They'll have the sustain to keep themselves going, though. Remember, with the Seraphine Sona, you're looking for one particular item spike on either. I think Staff of Flowing Water is the big item that you're looking for to ensure that these guys are kind of in that prime position to be buffing each other up, getting that cooldown reduction, or that ability haste rather, and just getting a huge amount of AP being gifted to each other's pockets as well. It's a really important item in this duo combo. Above that, you also have the likes of the Harmonic Echoes to ensure that you're getting ridiculous healing out from both the Seraphine and the Sona. So if we get a chance to have a look at the items, we'll just see where those item spikes are right now. Seraphine actually going for the more aggressive of the builds. The Staff of Flowing Water has been completed for the Sona, but we're actually seeing a Ludens early from Seraphine here. So more damage-orientated Seraphine. I imagine now heading towards the Staff of Flowing Water because that is such an important little duo item that you can pick up for both Clue and Friend. But you know, I think the Ludens makes sense. You are wanting to be a damage threat in these fights, and so the Ludens gives you that nice mid-game spike.
Of course, Snitch and Leon will be the damage dealers early into the game. That is going to be a jump in, but you have Acolyte making that repost. Apparently was able to survive. Now you have Snitch. Stuns are going to come through, and Acolyte will just hook shot his way away. Mr. Shot has been sent out. Now, no team, no talent. Will they try to get the pick up? Looks like that is going to be Indo. Instead, that is going to be Ruiz being targeted by teleports are going to come through. Snitch in the back line. He has the cast. Let's see what is going to happen. That's how you have the ultimate coming through from Ezreal. Has the ultimatum as well as the Anchor being used as well, but looks like no team knows how being able to annihilate few members here and there. Diana, the first one down, actually gets taken down. Xin Zhao saying goodbye as well. Now you have Sona saying goodbye. Let's see, we have 1v3 rather. Snitch trying to get away. The Baron has been casted. Leon at the back lines. He can actually get one here. He does use Chrono Belt to jump in. Now Ebu being able to take Snitch down. Will Leon get the revenge? Well, that is going to be a yes. Killing spree going over to Leon. Still has GA. Now you have Friend at the front line. Vitals has been popped, but Team Queso deciding to just disengage.
Unfortunately, it was the positioning of the fight there that went in favor of Team Queso. NTNT were not in that correct setup. You really want the Seraphine Sona stacked on top of each other. Leon feels pretty hyphy with that GA to get into the fight, though, and you have the rest of NTNT making their way over.
No crescendo. Blue team will be able to get Ocean Drake. That is going to be Doom jumping in. Memorize forced to flash away. Tidal Wave has been popped as well. Clue jumps in, flashes in. Will they be able to get the kill? That is going to be a no. Tusha Barrage has been sent out as well. But Leon and Friend will be a-okay. No team, no talent. Looks like they could have their eyes on this Baron, right? Maybe they could just pick a fight first. Rip Herald is still pretty much up into the Baron lane, making its way rather into the second outer turret for no team, no talent.
Yeah, that's been there a while. He's just been chilling, hitting those minion waves. That was popped probably about a minute before that Dragon fight even kicked off. I think you have to be very careful when you're NTNT with this comp. When you have Sona Seraphine, you need them to be like this pretty much at all time. Like Seraphine Sona needs to be attached at the waist with some kind of like rubber band to ensure that they are constantly stacking those shields and heals on top of each other and the rest of the team. If you're playing a split fight, and a split fight is what you're after, it's why Gragas is so good into this comp, you kind of limiting the power levels of this particular composition. So you just have to be a little careful about how you choose to set up fights with a Sona Seraphine comp. And that's probably where Team Coastal are going to be looking to exploit. They've got a very heavy engaged comp, and they can look to catch people out of position. So if they ever see a point where NTNT are out of position, or the Sona or the Seraphine are isolated, they will look to pounce and make that fight happen as quickly as possible.
Ebu alone into the mid lane. I think that does not sound good. The very least Memorize alongside Ruiz is now where he is. That is to be Gragas jumping back into the base. Baron is still pretty much alive, but no team is actually jumping in the Baron's pit just yet. Fiend and of course Clue will be together. That is going to be the beach up connecting onto one, as well as the high notes connecting onto Ruiz, but Ebu rather will still be very much healthy. That is going to be a jump in, flash in, Encore connecting onto 3, as well as the beach up. That is going to be now being bursted down. Now you have no team, no talent jumping in. That Trisha Barrage hurting a lot. Now you have Doom Rampage going over to Leon. That is going to be the ADC, and the support already down. They were pretty happy to get those 2 kills. Now they want to get the purple word.
And they have a really insane comp for this as well. With the Sona Seraphine, you negate a lot of that. We have the engage coming through though.
Snitch with that body slam connecting onto the Grand Challenge has been popped, but will it be enough? That is going to be the kill going over to Fiora, but Leon still pretty much alive. Seraphine say goodbye. Camille being taken down by the Seraphine as well. That is going to Doom jumping in, being there with the probes, with the spears, but that is going to be, goodness me, Acolyte trying to get away. Now you have Clue. He doesn't have Crescendo. He does have Flash though. Doom focusing onto Acolyte. The repost being used. Now you have the Mr. Shock right there. Leon jumping in. Will he get the kill? That is going to be a no. Now they're going to stay under turret. Mystic Shot is not going to connect, and looks like that is going to be an overall win for the side of no team, no talent. Leon still not jumping back, but now Team Queso will be able to get the first outer mid lane turret.
Yeah, they're going to take that down with ease. And the only problem that I think NTNT really had there was that Clue was out of mana. He had absolutely no mana in that Baron fight. Used a lot of it to sustain them up as they head towards the Baron. And massive credit to Team Queso. They peeled back so well. Let's take a look back at that fight here. It was an awkward engage from Snitch, but the follow-up was so nice. You said, like, chain CC on top of chain CC. They took out 2 members very quickly here. It was a really lovely kick from Leon to isolate out Ibu, and it was a bot lane advantage overall. Problem was, if you look, Clue has 0 mana here. He's doing absolutely nothing in this fight. He cast 1 ability all fight because of how little mana that he actually had. And in the meantime, because the Camille was able to take out the Seraphine and split this fight up, unfortunately, the rest of that front line just not strong enough to effectively duel against a Fiora. Fiora shines in these smaller engages, and that's where Team Queso had the edge, and NTNT had to back off.
Leon is looking to the side. That is going to be the tactical sweep, but that is going to be Andre forced to use Hulk shot to jump away. Tidal Wave and the Trisha Barrage already being used. Now, that is going to be the engage coming in from Snitch. That is going to be the body slam coming onto one. Beautiful engage though from the side of No Team, No Talent. Diana saying goodbye even though he jumped in. That is going to be Doom on the front line. Nami B becoming Sushi now. No Team, No Talent. Snitch being able to get a double kill. Fiora saying goodbye. That Ezreal tried to get away, but now we have an unstoppable leader. At the very least, Acolyte was able to press him down. But at what cost? At the cost of his very own life. Now, No Team, No Talent being able to get those A's, those 5 kills in at the expense of Leon. They could finish off the game.
I think they're going to straight up finish off the game here. Way too many death timers to work with for Team Queso. And I think that's one of the problems. This composition from Team NTNT is a ticking time bomb. If you do not beat it, it will beat you. And that is the core essence of the NTNT roster. And I think, as we said, Seraphine Sona, once they hit certain item specs, the sustain is almost impossible to deal with. It doesn't matter how many Executioner's Callings you buy. It doesn't matter how many Morellonomicons. There is too much shielding, too much healing to deal with. And I think, unfortunately, if you let them have a draft that works for them with the Seraphine Sona, it is just essentially a game of can we get far enough ahead before they just become impossible to beat. And unfortunately, that was not the case here for Team Queso, despite having a really strong early game.
That's true. Also, can I just say that Clue, even though he has the heals, he also picked up heal as a summoner spell. So the sustain and the healing is definitely obnoxious for No Team, No Talent. But now let's take a look at the highlights for that game.
Yeah, there was some really good early moments from Team Queso, actually winning out in the little 2v2 here. Obviously, Snitch was able to pick off one back, but right now it was Doom who had an uncharacteristically hard early game. Team Queso put a lot of pressure on Doom, who went for a lot of ganks with Snitch. Leon as well getting caught out a little bit, although I would say Leon had an absolutely fantastic game on his Lee Sin. Like I said, he's one of the few Baron laners that can actually play this in Europe, and it really shows how flexible and what that kind of gives to the team. This is another situation. Watch, this is a split fight here. They were able to take out the backline with relative ease. They managed to keep 2 members isolated, 2 members isolated in the back. Unfortunately, Seraphine Sona at this stage not able to deal with a Camille by themselves. In fact, realistically, Seraphine Sona not really supposed to be left in those situations. You kind of have to play around the shielding and the healing. And this is that good early game that we saw from Team Queso. Leon, though, was the shining light. Anytime that there was a rough situation for NTNT, Leon was able to draw something back for the team here, picking off the Ezreal whilst maintaining his GA. Really nice little element. Another good option where, you know, the Seraphine Sona is split off from the fight, and look at the front line. They can't deal the same kind of impact in the team fight when not having that Seraphine Sona to back them up. And that is something that if you're ever playing into a Seraphine Sona, you have to consider of a way to deal with them. It is just that ability to separate Sona and Seraphine away from the rest of the team, because the shielding, the sustain, and the heals is what makes this composition OP. And if you can break that away from the main body of the team, that's where it's going to be in your advantage. And right now, this was that last team fight. This is where you really started to see the power of Seraphine Sona just slowly making their way forward, slowly advancing forward. And then watch this, Sona and Seraphine on the back line, chaining CC together. Low HP bars, but it won't be for long, because Sona should be able to get them back up and healed. As you can see here, Seraphine as well gets a huge amount of healing off with that empowered second ability. And this was allowing them to get themselves healthy again and to be able to end the game.
Can I just say that even though Doom was in the front line in that last clash, he was okay. I mean, he got lots of ultimates, but he was still able to make it out of there alive. Looks like this is going to be 2-0 so far for No Team, No Talent. Also, can I just say that you mentioned about separating Sona and Seraphine. Made me think though, what if there was a core key for the side of Team Queso? The Valkyrie could have separated these 2 champions, but then again, they're in the back line. Still a lot of things to take into consideration. But of course, without further ado, picking think Advance is ready for game number 3, so let's scooch over there. Will this team have the talent to actually end the series in 3-0, or will Team Queso be able to cheese their way into a game number 4? Let's wait and see though. I mean, a lot of things still available. I'm looking forward to seeing the adjustments for Team Queso. No team, no talent. They're looking very, very strong. So what are your thoughts about this before we jump into game number 3?
They tried comfort, they tried non-comfort, and neither of them have worked. So at this point, you just pick your best and hope for the best. Realistically, I think unfortunately, No Team No Talent might just be a little too strong. They are just that cut above the rest of the European teams right now, and you're kind of seeing it over the course of the last couple of Origin series. This team has looked like head and shoulders above the rest of the Group A competition, if you ask me. But, nonetheless, Team Queso definitely can give it a good swing. But I think pick and bans are really important here. We'll see if they revert back to comfort or not.
All right, so are they still going to be banning out Akali rather, and who will be in the hands of Ruiz? The Ahri pick was very, very good. However, the Diana, even though it does spell well into the draft, for me at least, the Moonfrost just did not have that much impact. Zig's still going to be banned out for the side of No Team, No Talent. Apparently, we will not be seeing an Akali, so sad Yuko noises. Senna still going to be banned out for Team Queso.
Yeah, these are very, just as I said, very common bans, and I think the bans have stayed relatively similar. It's interesting that Team Queso bans Akali, because usually NTNT do, because Leon has come out on record saying he just doesn't like playing against Akali. So it's one of those things that NTNT usually ends up banning. Again, banning the Kai'Sa away from Ibu, I think, really limits one of those late game power picks for Team Queso. Let's see what Queso choose to go. It is going to be that Camille. So again, just comfort once more for Acolyte, giving him something that he feels comfortable on in that matchup.
All right, so that is going to be the Gragas, most likely going over to Snitch, maybe even to the Brown lane. Corki now being picked up by No Team, No Talent, most likely is going to go over to Snitch. Looking back into game number 1. Team Queso, I was about to say they could get Xin Zhao, but looks like they want to get their hands on this Stacy. And Ezreal is open for grabs as well if they want to secure an ADC, but it looks like they're going to get this Garen. It's going to be a jungle. No. Who will go where? The mind games of Team Queso, though.
Could be a mid lane Camille. We have seen this before, and I think Ezreal is the sensible choice once more. When you know that you're dealing with a lot of a need to kite away, then Ezreal is one of those few AD carries that has a lot of self peel built into his kit. It's going to be Lucian.
Expound those face, though.
Support Garen.
Yes, maybe.
Support Lee.
Yes.
I don't know. I
think it's gonna be Garen.
Yeah, but support Garen is so bad. Like, it's not even remotely good.
I know, lots of questions in our heads right now, but that just excites me all the more. So the confused casters will, alongside the confused audience, will jump into game number 3.
It's support Garen.
Right. See, I mean, the only ever viable champion in Team Queso's draft is a support Garen. I will not be expecting a support Camille or support Lee Sin, because that's kind of sad. I mean, Lee Sin has an obnoxious amount of early game power.
At least you could just kick. Like, at least the support Lee Sin, you can just be a kick bot, right? You're just there to isolate someone. But like, what does support Garen offer other than just being a really bad tank? And then
Silence?
But like, you have to run at them to even make that happen. And then your ultimate got nerfed. It's not even like your ultimate is like good enough by itself now. I don't know what support Garen's about.
Hey, I actually like this pick, so I'm actually looking forward to how Team Queso will play this one out. But expounding further into the Dragon Lane matchup, of course, Ezreal will be very much safe behind Clue on this Braum. Winter Spite, as well as the passive, the concussive blows, will be a huge problem for Team Queso if the stuns is going to come through. Acolyte will still have his hands on this Camille. Now Leon will have this Gragas, so if ever there's a Hexic ultimatum, he can just pop in with explosive cast.
Yeah, I think right now this is a very comfortable matchup for both. I would say the Gragas. I personally feel like the Gragas Camille matchup is like skill. It's a skill matchup between the two of them. It's not like, you know, the Fiora Gragas or Fiora Camille matchup, but it's really just like Fiora is very hard to lose that matchup with. But this one's more of a skill matchup for me. You can stun Camille out of her hook shot. You can use your Gragas ultimate to knock her out of Hextech Ultimatum. So it really just depends on how and when you use your skill. It's more of a, like I said, more of a skill matchup between the two of them. But we'll see. Looks like there's going to be an early gank from Andre on the top side of the map here.
Leon being boxed in, he is under turret. Will he get first blood? That is going to be a no, because Camille was the one that got first blood. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take that back. Gragas was able to get there eventually. Even the people controlling the stream just zoomed in to just emphasize what happened.
Oh, okay. Team Queso are trolling now. It's just like, what was that? What did I just watch? It's a Yuko, it's a terrible day to have eyes. I can tell you that. It's a terrible day to have eyes.
That is true. But you know what? We're already in it this far. Best of 5, 2-0. I'm just gonna fully commit. I'm gonna go all in. But now looking back into the Dragon Lane, Friend will be on this Ezreal, and still Clue is just at that beefy front line. Doom though is lurking again to the side that is going to be Unbreakable, being popped by Clue. Memorize trying to shield Ibu with all his might. Judgment has been used to clear the wave out. But the moment Doom jumps in, or maybe the moment a new wave of minions jumps in, could spell bad for them. Ibu will just cancel the recall, but Friend is pretty much a-okay with that. Now here comes Doom. Jump in, focus on the Ibu. That is going to be the Glitchy Fish connecting onto one, and Garen gets annihilated. Just the Broad is going to connect into one. Jump in, Arc and Shift, Mystic Shot. That is going to be 2 kills going over to No Team, No Talent.
Man, they are really off to a good start here. This is a great acceleration in Game 3. No Team, No Talent looking to stamp their authority down on the Origin series. Let's take a look at it. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I understand why Andre made this gank. They obviously just misplayed it a little bit, right? You want to get Camille the edge in this matchup, because then Camille can probably just continue to pressure out in the side lane. So I definitely understand the thinking there for Team Queso, and I understand what they were trying to achieve. It just didn't really work out very well, obviously, as we saw. And like, obviously, Andre was trying to hold the aggro on the tower because he knew that Camille would die should she take it. Should she have taken a tower shot? But he just held it for a little bit too long. Sometimes it's difficult to predict those types of things. So, you know, I joked a little bit about a terrible day to have eyes. I joked a little bit about trolling, but it's difficult to make those kind of, you know, plays effectively and calculate it 100%.
That is true. At the very least, it was he just took one turret hit too much. Now, the Rift Herald and the first dragon of the game is already up 1-3 in the scoreboard. Now you have Team Queso focusing on their peril, but you know what? Doom just says hi. Here comes, of course, Jungler as well. That is to be the judgment pop. Tijo saying goodbye. Now Clue is the only one left at the referral, but here comes Fred. Here comes Snitch. Braum being bursted down. Beautiful Valkyrie principal package being used by Snitch there. Also, the missile is still gonna reach Ari, and Snitch at the perfect position possible, being able to get that double kill. That is to be the Lee Sin being bursted down as well, and it was a 3-0 in favor of No Team, No Talent.
Yeah, and they should be able to get a lot of damage down into this mid lane tier 1 as well. That's a nice few plates that will go in the back pocket of Leon and Snitch here. They won't be able to take the tower outright, but they've set it up so that, you know, a simple push should allow them to pick up that tier 1 and open up the map a little more here for NTNT. They're now going to set up for that dragon. We haven't engaged.
Here comes Reese, but that will not connect. This is connecting onto 2. Now you have their push back onto Acolyte. Acolyte being saying goodbye. Charm is gonna connect, but Blue Team being able to get the Ocean Dragon. But the fight is right there. Killingspree going over to Ezreal. Jump in. Art and Shift in, as well as the Mystic Shot being able to take Lucian down. Rampage for Friend, and that is gonna be that turret falling down in favor of NT.
And that now opens the map up massively. They even picked up the dragon as well. NTNT, it will be, I'm going to be honest with you, Yuko, it will be a difficult position to lose from here on out. I think realistically they are in the driving seat in this game. Andre desperately trying to hold on to this bot lane tier 1, knows that he can't commit versus the Braum, though, as the Ezreal just too strong at this point in time. Doom, though, might walk straight into Ruiz here.
That is going to be a flash out, though. Charm is going to connect onto Braum, but you have the Unbreakable coming through. Braum saying goodbye. Here comes your engage from Team K, so Shinja being bursted down as well. Friend, the only one left there. Trisha Barrage being used. Acolyte, goodness me, being taken down by Snitch yet again. And it was a 2-1 in favor of Team Queso, but they are still going at it. Charm is not going to connect. The orb is going to connect onto Gragas, but he does not care. He body slams his way in. Ezreal saying goodbye. Will he be able to tank the damage that is DBA? No. Leon 1v3. Judgment being popped. Double kill going over to Lucian, to Ibu, but Snitch being able to get the Baron lane turret.
I mean, you'll take those kills if you're Team Queso at this point. You need anything that you can get, especially when you're running with a Garen support that's taking Grasp of the Undying, by the way. So, you know, I think you'll take anything that you can get at this point if you're Team Queso, and try gifting some gold, some charitable gold back towards Queso in this game, because goodness knows Queso definitely need it. Take a look at the quick replay there. Again, I think Clue and Leon just a little overextended. I think very hyphy right now as NTNT are in a really strong spot, but Snitch is super strong, as you mentioned a few times here. Actually stolen. I didn't notice that in the midst of that fight. It was a steal here for Team Queso. So they get both the Dragon and a bit of gold gifted their way on the bottom side of the map, which they'll happily take.
Trisha Barrage to say hello to Team Queso, but Team Queso will just fall back. Andre very, very low. That is EV jump in. Let's see if Snitch alongside Clue will do something. Charm is gonna connect onto Corki, but no one actually committed justice. Let's see the Grace of Fisher. The green light from No Team, No Talent. Here comes Andre the back line, but Snitch is safe as well. The calling has been used. Ezreal still very healthy. Charm is gonna connect, as well as the Orb of Deception, but no actual trades from Team Queso.
Still, Team Queso have very low HP bars for the time being, and they are a little overextended, at least in hovering on a flank. This 2-2 tower should drop. I don't think anyone's quite in position to punish them as of yet. But NTNT definitely pushing the boat out as Snitch has to Valkyrie away. Very close one there for Snitch, but he'll get away just fine. And the rest of NTNT will back off. We'll take a look back at that replay. You can see Ibu, Ruiz able to land a little charm. It's a really good block off here from Clue with that Unbreakable, just to give a lot of space over to the back line for NTNT to just jump in and get the work done. Having a little breakout here. Another fight opening up.
Ruiz the first one to say goodbye. He did use his charm. He tried to pick a Snitch off, or maybe even Friend, but he was very much near wall and was not able to secure the kill. Instead, he was the one that got taken down here at the mid lane, though. Andre trying to go up against Leon, but Leon being very healthy, being very A-okay, will be able to survive the few pokes coming out from Andre. Now, you have 17 and 13 on the scoreboard. Triforce being completed by Friend. Snitch again, sitting comfortably 4-0-4. Just give him a front line, which they have Braum, by the way, and he is going to be A-okay. On top of that, Friend is very much scaling. Just has Triforce, Ruiz right there. Now, I'm still waiting for Garen to do something. He could silence maybe Doom if he jumps in, maybe even Friend. I don't think you should target Clue, but now No Team, No Talent. Let's not go with the fights. Let's try and take Dragon. You know what? Why not both? That is the charm connecting onto one. Now you have the Blastcom being popped. That is going to be the Unbreakable still being sent out by Braum and Team Queso. They cannot go near No Team, No Talent just yet. Snitch threw out a missile. Will it be enough? It will not. Now Leon is at the backline. As he Doom jumping in, he does get pushed back. Now you have the Glacier Fisher being sent out. Jumps coming in. Snitch is now unstoppable. You also have the cast being thrown out. Double kill, make that a triple kill going over to Snitch. He is now godlike. Garen saying goodbye. 3-0 in favor of No Team, No Talent, just in time for the Baron to be up.
Yep, and they should be able to get this. They are low HP bars, but they'll take it very quickly with a double lady carry composition. Not sure that there's much that Ibu can do without the culling. Acolyte does have that Hextech ultimatum. There is maybe a way that he can kind of delay this Baron, but it gets taken too quickly. Like we said, a double lady carry composition does take this very, very quick. And Acolyte not even interested in engaging the fight right now. This could be the last stretch for No Team, No Talent to win the final monthly Origin Series before, as we can say it now, it has been announced, a LAN finals later in September.
Mark your calendars, but here we have a replay.
Yeah, we're going to see a little break there. There was just a really nice cast from Leon there. Yuko, I don't know what Garen support's trying to do. We've got another fight, though.
He's trying to support. Don't worry, I got this. A shutdown on Ezreal though, but could that be the only kill Team KaseO will be able to get in that skirmish? Looks like NT is just holding off just fine. Font of Life is going to be proc, but I don't think that is going to be enough. Still, no team, no talent holding their gardens. The mid lane that is Leon trying to juggle that 2v1. He received a lot of damage. He is being boxed in, and that is going to be a bye-bye for Gragas. Blue team being able to get, rather, one turret being taken down for the side of Team KaseO. Dragon is up, but red team, no talent. They want to get the turrets down. They want to play the objective game.
Yeah, and they have that Mountain Dragon ready to go. Only one tower taken for Team KaseO. It actually looks like Friend is going to try and cover that one on the top side of the map as he goes for the red buff. I think it should be able to go down to Acolyte here. So at least something going in the favor of Team KaseO right now. They are about 10,000 gold behind it. Actually, I mean, Ezreal's literally just 1v1ing the Camille. That's a sad sight. There you go.
Goodness me. That's it. That was the story. Ezreal being able to win that fight. 1v1, very close up against Camille. Even though Acolyte used all of his resources, it was not enough. They jump in, a flash into the side. You have Negation Fisher again, but Snitch is now legendary. Shark is not gonna connect. Memorize in middle of the fight. Double kill going over to Corki. He flashed in. Another triple kill going over to Corki. Man, this guy is a beast. Now guaranteeing goodbye. Blue team being aced against the red side. They want to go all in. They want to focus on the Nexus. Will Acolyte be able to defend this? He needs to clear the wave. That is going to be a tactical sweep, but he just ate a lot of damage from no team, no talent. They got the scale. They got the ace. Now they got game number 3.
And they will get the monthly finals, the August monthly finals of the Origin Series as well. And I think categorically cement themselves as the best team in Europe right now. Obviously, Group A and Group B have yet to have that cross play, but I think a lot of people are looking towards NTNT as the dominant team heading into those LAN finals later in September. Really excited to see how they match up. But for the time being, going to be honest with you, they didn't even make it look close. That was an incredibly easy series for Team NTNT. And I think KaseO, as well as Gamelord, they're going to have a lot of thinking to do when it comes to tackling the problem of NTNT in another set of games.
Definitely, that was a very intense stop from no team, no talent. So you guys enjoyed that game number 3. Let us take a step back and look at the highlights.
I mean, every single game here. I mean, yeah, this is just. It was an error. It was a miscalculation.
Here comes Xcandle again.
I know. Look, I frown, I sigh because it looks so sad, but it was just a simple miscalculation. Like those kind of things definitely happen. So I'm not going to get too worried about it. But for the most part, it was just no team, no talent, way out in the lead, and also the fact that you were basically playing 4v5 the entire game because it was Garen support. So not much to say other than I think NTNT just were the better team all around here, Yuko.
It is. I guess they were just able to, get the win again, get the win conditions in check, even in the Rift itself. The way they play their game is very textbook. It was tight-knit. It was difficult for even Team KaseO to try and put a hole in their plan. Could say that no team, no talent definitely prepared up against their fight. And the fact that they can juggle all of these champions and execute it perfectly in different drafts, in different situations, just shows how much they know the game like the back of their hand.
Yeah, they've got a lot of versatility, and I think that's one of the things that not many other teams in the European scene have right now. I think, as we said, one of the biggest criticisms for Team KaseO has been that they have a very predictable style. It's a style that clearly worked against the team, like the likes of Gamelord, who weren't able to deal with it, but against NTNT, there was no chance. And NTNT are so flexible; they can play a huge variety of different champions. I think one of the things that I credit Snitch for specifically is that he isn't just a one-trick mid laner. Like he plays pretty much anything. Whereas a lot of other mid laners have got a more limited repertoire of champions, but it's the same for pretty much everybody. I think the only person that generally tends to play the same thing over and over again is Leon, but he does it so damn well that, why not change it? Or why change it rather? You don't really have to. So I think overall, great series from NTNT, showed their versatility, showed their ability to deal with a very predictable draft from Team KaseO. And obviously one of the problems that I think Team KaseO had is when they tried to move away from that I guess, comfort draft, they just didn't play as well. And NTNT just able to take that skill gap and exploit it.
True, they really did struggle. GG's for Team KaseO, but for the fans of No Team, No Talent, congratulations, because your team is now the champion for the month of August. Now, we have an interview for you guys. Let's see who will be the player from No Team, No Talent. It's not gonna be Snitch.
It could be
Hello.
anybody. It could be
Oh,
anybody.
it could have been any of them.
Five of us. It could be anyone.
Well, Doom doesn't talk. Leon's a bit of a firecracker, so
Leon had a party to go to, like straight away to Italy. Clues French, he struggles. It's just tough stuff, really. I have to take the burden.
you have to take the burden, but it's
Sadly.
okay. It's okay. Well, we appreciate you, Snitch. First of all, LAN finals, pretty exciting. Are you guys hyped? You guys talked a lot about that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we're super excited. Obviously, only me and Doom have any real LAN experience. So Clue, for example, is a bit nervous. Some of our
bless
players are a bit younger. They're not super confident about being on stage and stuff. But I think me and Doom at least have a lot of experience between us that we can kind of share and make sure everybody's comfortable and playing on their best level.
Well, I actually asked a lot of wildlife or technical questions from Snitch looking back into the previous days of Origin series. Now my question is, will you enter Garen support in your team?
Honestly, I think not. Not really sure what happened there. Maybe they just had like a draft miscommunication. I guess it happens. We did used to ban Garen a lot. Maybe they thought that if we just saw Garen, we'd just fall apart and just start, running into mid tower or something. So I guess, maybe a viable strategy from that angle. But yeah, I'm not sure about the Garen support personally.
Is it a mental boom? I think it was a mental boom, mate.
Could've been.
You exposed the Kha'Zix Camille Ari draft and they just didn't know what to do. But legitimately, I kind of want to get your thoughts on the rest of the competition in Group A specifically, because obviously I would ask about Group B and Group C, but you haven't had a chance to play them yet. But Group A, I think clearly you guys are a bit above the rest of the competition. Between Queso and Gamelord, they're probably the biggest other two competitors that you have, I think, for European dominance, I suppose. What is it that's kind of setting them back right now? Is it Queso? Because I feel like Queso, for instance, are a little reliant on certain drafts, for instance, right? What do you think that sets you apart from those two other teams?
I mean, I just think our advantages. I think the big one is just hero pool. I think our players are just way more confident on way more picks, and we just have a wider grasp of the meta. No matter the meta, honestly, no matter what the patch changes, it feels like we're always the team that's picking up picks first. We're picking up new junglers. We're picking up, new mid laners. We were playing some center lanes and stuff and this kind of thing, and it feels like we're kind of always establishing it. No one else is really making these huge marks on the meta like we are, and I think just the depth of strategies that we have as a result just naturally makes us better in draft. We always adapt our draft and our bans to kind of whatever team we're facing. Whereas other teams, for example, they ban the same champs every game, And you could say we used to do that with Garen, but that was because it was a throw ban. But we're so good at adapting to whoever we play. And I think other teams are a lot more rigid in their styles, and that makes it so it's harder for them to kind of be as competitive with everybody.
Confidence is definitely key for Snitch and for No Team, No Talent here. So again, congratulations for winning that series 3-0, by the way. What a stomp. So do you have any message to your teammates and to your fans out there?
Huge shout out to my team. Honestly, our team environment is so great. I have so much fun playing with these guys. It's honestly insane. Our comms in the game are just, if they ever release mic checks, you guys will see. We're always pogging out to everyone else's plays. I'm like, friend, that was an insane snipe. Whoa. It's so funny playing with these guys. Huge shout out to all of our fans who have been supporting us all the way through. We managed the online Grand Slam. Hopefully we could do well at the LAN finals. Thank you guys so much for supporting us, as a team and individually. Check out all of our streams. We're all streaming very actively. We'd love to talk with you guys and, share our gameplay. And we hope you have a great time watching Wild Rift. Thank you guys so much.
All right, and thank you too for giving us amazing games. That has been Snitch from No Team, No Talent. We will see you into the LAN finals.
Thank you.
I hope Snitch shines my shirt at LAN finals. He's a big star. I just don't know if I can take it, UK. If I meet that guy in real life, I think my knee's gonna go weak.
You might faint.
I've had a really good time though. It's been great to see NTNT just continue to dominate. I think, as we said in the cast, I think one of the things, and Snitch built on it as well, is just that these guys don't have a bad draft. They basically can play pretty much everything, and I think that's one of the things that really sets them apart from the rest of the competition here. And we talked about it before. I think both Gamelord and Queso have a bit more niche in terms of what they actually like to play. But NTNT overall just super strong. This isn't that first series though. This is the Group B finals. A very interesting Group B finals actually, because both Unicorns of Love and Na'Vi got knocked out super early in that group phase.
True.
Which was, we had a very different set of competitors for our final games.
And I actually like how we see the switch ups and again the storyline for this month. A lot of things definitely were a surprise to us, not just the picks, not just the meta, but the teams itself that were able to push through in the latter parts of the brackets. We saw a lot of Pantheon picks. Nami arguably one of the most picked support if I remember it correctly. But yeah, the ADCs and frontline damages are still pretty much there. And overall, I'm just looking forward to seeing how will they perform in LAN. LAN, of course, is a different setting. As Snitch did say, the nerves might jump in, but if you're confident, if you're cool enough, keep yourself grounded enough, you can make the magic happen.
I think right now, there's a lot of undiscovered talent in Europe as well, and I think across both Group B, Group C, and Group A, like even the rise of Singularity again. That Singularity started off being pretty, I would say, having a struggling in the June finals, came back a little bit in the July finals, then made it to top 4 in August. There's some really great players in the Singularity roster. For instance, the AD carry Joey Skaggs. I expect him to find his way into a top tier team sometime soon. He's got a couple of accounts in top 10 challenger on the European server, and so I think the Origin series has been a great area to see this undiscovered talent start to come through and start to make its way. But for now, I think realistically you are just looking at the best team all round, and that is the NTNT roster. I don't really think that anybody right now is close to catching them. We have got a month until those LAN finals take place in Stockholm, Sweden, so plenty of time for the meta to change, plenty of time for people to catch up and try and get themselves on that level. But as Snitch said, one of the big strengths of NTNT has been that ability to adapt to the meta and constantly sort of adapt and innovate as well for this team.
Hopefully in a month, our teams will be able to adjust, study the game more, and show us one hell of a LAN finals. Of course, questions is still lurking all over. Again, the date and the place has already been revealed. Hope I can be with you guys there. But if I'm not, I'm just gonna send my regards here in the live stream. But yeah, that is gonna be the game so far. But the stream is not done yet. Let's take a look at the updated rankings for the month of August.
Yep, you'll see it is going to be NTNT at 1,350, Team Kaiser 1,040, and I believe Gamelord snuck in as well at 922. So the top 3 teams there from Group A, 1, 2, and 3. So they are all sitting pretty at the top of the standings. You can see BTS, the closest team in terms of points, beyond that at 618.
Man, top 4 definitely a cut above the rest. And now we have another set for the top 9. So top 4 though, UOL, Nav, Foot, and you have BKR 702 compared to SMB, which has 673.
Definitely a closer group here, and actually Na'Vi helped out by Baal, who were able to knock out BKR earlier on in the tournament, stopping any chance of BKR knocking Na'Vi out of a qualifying position. So ULL and Na'Vi able to sneak in the top 2 spots here and qualify.
And for Group A, the 3 will qualify. For Group B, it's going to be 2. And for Group C, only 1. Now, if you have Cut Esports still in that top 1.
Yep, and Cut just able to, I think, were the most dominant team. Sunlight were definitely up there as well. Geek Fam is also it's not Geek Fam, that's the Southeast Asian team, Geek A. But yeah, I think overall, like Cut were just the better team overall. I think in Group C they were able to dominate Group C pretty handily over the course of the last few months.
The Sunlight and Cut rivalry, apparently we did not see that for the month of August. Let's see if you're going to be seeing it into the LAN finals. But overall, that has been the 2 series for today. I cannot stress this enough. Guys, the LAN finals will happen in September. Mark your calendars, tweet it out even, check your socials, make sure that you will have time to watch it, maybe in the live stream, maybe even in person. You guys decide. But again, that has been it for the last day. We have been your casters. I'm Yuko alongside Miss Expoundro. Do not forget to follow us on our socials, and we will see you in the grand finals.